in the last 24 hours. You platform. I had Seth Dillon from the Babylon Bee, who's like some anti-woke guy, I guess, text me, I can't believe you platformed him. Platformed? You mean talk to him? It's like, okay.
Obviously, I'm doing this because my account just got suspended on YouTube, and I shared with you guys exactly how it happened, which was...
I thought you were the anti-woke guy, but I can't help but detect in the hysteria over all of this, trying to turn Daryl Cooper, maybe he's got eccentric views or not, but into some sort of a Nazi? And me into a platformer of Nazis?
2 weeks ago, every Zionist account on social media, every Zionist media member was writing articles hysterically from here to Australia saying, Candace Owens is having a mental breakdown, Candace Owens is unhinged, Candace Owens is angry, writing lies about me.
I detect in that something much bigger, which is a kind of desperate, hysterical attempt to hold on to certain ideas or founding myths, some of which may be worth holding on to or not.
Because we've spent the last 70 years, I mean, in Europe's case, like literally throwing people in jail for looking into the wrong corners, right? So
what's going on, everybody? Today, I'm going to dive into Tucker Carlson is beefing with Seth Dillon, CEO of Babylon Bee. Why? What's going on? Is it just infighting and drama? No, I don't believe so. It's super, super important. And it also crosses the Overton window and into the threshold, if Overton window is not the right word for that, into why Candace Owens is actually being suspended from YouTube. And wait till you see the reason that Candace Owens was suspended and her Kanye West or Ye interview was taken down. This interview, or this episode rather, sorry, I'm so hyped up. I'm just making up words or using the wrong words, but I'm going to do a really in-depth, detailed report on all of this stuff. I hope you guys listen with an open heart and an open mind, because I'm really going to dive into it, show proof, and show you what's going on, because it's not just the liberal media. If you just watch Fox News and you just listen to some of these right-wing corporations, they'll tell you it's all the left. Of course, the left sucks. I'm voting for Donald Trump, but it's Republican Zionists who are running cancel culture campaigns as well, to, especially at a time where Rumble's being banned from Brazil. In other countries, you get thrown in prison for these type of speech or thought crimes. They're now coming at Tucker Carlson. That's how emboldened they are. Coming to Tucker Carlson. We're going to talk about it, show proof and videos. Dreamer podcast starts now. Give me a thumbs up for the algorithm if you like the show.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's up, Facebook? What's up, Rumble? What's up, YouTube? I appreciate y'all. Let's just get right into it. I don't want to bore you. I want to get right to the point, and I want to make this a concise, easy to follow video if you want to share it with your friends. So let's get into it real quick. Tucker Carlson said this recently about Seth Dillon, the CEO of Babylon Bee, which is a conservative satire outlet, which just recently, I've always liked the Babylon Bee, but the CEO, Seth Dillon, and a lot of his employees, like, they seem so fake and dishonest, and they're so pro-Israel and so pro-Zionist that they're willing to basically smear and attack anybody online that goes against their narrative and agenda to a psychotically phony, I would say, level. Tucker Carlson is one of the biggest people in Republican media, and these people are so fake and emboldened now that they're actually coming for Tucker Carlson, and he explains it. And listen to what he said to Charlie Kirk. Excuse me, sorry, I'm so hyped up. I'm just sputtering over my coffee words here, but here we go.
I was amazed in the last 24 hours. You platform. I had Seth Dillon from the Babylon Bee, who's like some anti-woke guy, I guess, text me, I can't believe you platformed him. Platformed? You mean talk to him? It's like, okay. I thought you were the anti-woke guy. But anyway, people are very upset. And look, it's okay to be upset about a difference of opinion. I totally get it. I'm frequently upset about differences of opinion.
So Tucker says this, and he says a little more. I'm going to play the clip before explaining it. But he said Seth Dillon, who I believe was on Tucker's show, it seemed like they were friends. He says, oh, no, Tucker texted me or whatever. But Seth Dillon publicly said some really interesting stuff about Tucker Carlson. And Tucker was not happy. So I guess he reached out to Seth and, said that he felt like he was being smeared as a Nazi platformer, because this is what they do. And it's not just left-wing media. It's the Seth Dillons of the world, let's just say, if they can't call you a Nazi because you're obviously not a Nazi, then they'll call you a Nazi sympathizer, or you platformed a Nazi sympathizer, or you're a denier of an event that you're not denying, but we've determined that you've denied it because we as a collective have determined that you're not saying what we want you to say. And you're like, what collective is that determined that I'm not saying what you want? Oh, the collective that you're also not supposed to say exists, because it absolutely doesn't exist, and it could get you kicked off YouTube for even saying that group has power. Are you following me? It's so obvious, the deception that's going on right now. And it's incredibly obvious because they're going for Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, who are two of the biggest people in Republican media. So instead of doing this behind the scenes and behind closed doors like they've been doing for 5 and 6 years and trying to ruin people's lives, now they're just outwardly doing it in public. And it just looks so stupid. They can't beat Tucker Carlson in a debate. They can't out honest Candace Owens. So these are the games that they play. They smear you, and then you respond, and then they go, no, I didn't do it. What are you talking about? And it's like, bro, we saw what you said. And that's okay. You have the right to your opinion and perspective, but Tucker's way cooler and more honest than you. So if you have your opinion, he's going to have his too. Let's watch.
But I can't help but detect in the hysteria over all of this, trying to turn Daryl Cooper, maybe he's got eccentric views or not, but into some sort of a Nazi and me into a platformer of Nazis. I detect in that something much bigger, which is a kind of desperate, hysterical attempt to hold on to certain ideas or founding myths, some of which may be worth holding on to or not or whatever. I'm agnostic. And that's not what we're seeing at all. We're seeing people like losing control. And I think that is sort of the point of it. They are losing control.
For those that didn't listen to the episode quickly, what was the synthesis, would you say? I mean,
so for those who want to hear what happened to Candace Owens, I'm going to play 5 minutes from her video explaining what happened, because I want you to hear in her own words what happened. She's suspended and been demonetized from YouTube. So her show's canceled today because it's literally getting canceled from YouTube. But let's look what's, let's look what Seth Dillon actually said. I'm sorry about that, folks. I kind of was going to take off today, but I got inspired to do this. But anyway, here's what Seth Dillon said about the Tucker Carlson interview that he's referring to. Here it is. Seth Dillon said, Tucker's guessed the Holocaust was an unfortunate logistical problem. The Nazis ran out of space for prisoners. Nobody wanted to kill them all the Jews, except for Churchill, that dastardly terrorist. Tucker, finally an honest historian willing to tell the truth. So this is the conservative CEO of Babylon Bee. Do you see what he's doing there? He's basically smearing Tucker as a Holocaust denier, platformer, like a Nazi sympathizer. Like, he's not specifically saying it, but I want you to read that tweet. I'm gonna put it up again. This is what and this is supposed to be Tucker Carlson's friend, right? You got to understand, these people like Seth Dillon, they're not your friend. They hate you just as much as the left. You could give them all the things in the world, all the opportunities, be nice to them, but the second that you talk about history that they don't want you to talk about, they're going to smear you essentially as like a Holocaust Nazi sympathizer, denier, or whatever. And you could be like, I didn't do it, but Seth Dillon doesn't care. He's a piece of shit. Anyway, so that's what he said about Tucker Carlson, right? That's why Tucker responded to him, and now he's playing the victim. Seth Dillon, he started it, but now he's crying and saying he didn't or whatever. I just want to read this because it seemed like a very honest take. This guy's name is Orrin McIntyre. He said, look, bro, it isn't censorship. It's just a debate in which I'm calling you pro-Hitler and saying you should ban people from coming on. People who built their entire career mocking the left for screeching you're Hitler at every opponent, now employing the same exact tactic. I'm going to be really clear. I think Seth Dillon, the CEO of Babylon Bee, is a sneaky piece of shit. I call him the Babylon Sneak now. He sucks. I've argued with him publicly on Twitter 6 months ago. I could see who he is and what he thinks. And these are the games that he's playing. Now he's coming for Tucker Carlson. How dare you platform somebody who questions history or talks about history in a way I don't want you to? I'm basically going to smear you as like a Nazi sympathizer, but then I'm going to pretend like I never did it. Fuck you, bro. With that being said, let's listen to this part from Tucker Carlson's Babylon Bee interview, because Tucker Carlson and this guy, Daryl Cooper, they actually talked about the fact that you could be thrown in prison in Europe for doing what Seth Dillon and all these other weasels are accusing you of doing. So just keep this in mind when you listen to this part, okay? We all know that there's 19 countries in which anti-Semitism and denial of their event or the event is considered a crime. You can go to prison. You can get fined. Excuse my language. You're fucked, okay? It's a crime in 19 countries. Seth Dillon knows that, right? He knows that it's a crime in 19 countries. He knows that the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism has been passed into 30 states, thousands of organizations. Maybe he doesn't know. Now I'm telling you the numbers, okay? It's this widespread anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism. And he knows it's a crime in other countries. Candace Owens is on the verge of being banned from Australia for her anti-Semitism and denial of that event, in which she doesn't even deny it. She just picked out one moment of it and did a live stream about it. But the Seth Dillons of the world, remember, they got to determine you can't say that. And then they turn around and be like, so do you have the power? Oh, I don't have power. It's anti-Semitic to say we have power, and that'll get you banned off YouTube. Yet we're going to constantly tell you that you're not allowed to say these things. Imagine, I'm Italian, right? Imagine if there were 19 countries that you got thrown in prison for questioning Italian history or the Italian, a tragedy. And then imagine if there were thousands of organizations around the world, dozens of groups. It was being passed in 30 different states in America, that now anti-Italian hate is considered like 10 different things. And then imagine if I was just like calling everybody anti-Italophobe and calling them a denier, and then sitting there and being like, oh, I don't want you to get censored. I don't want you to get banned from Australia. I know it's going to get you banned from Australia, but I don't want you to. I just think you're a denier, or you're a platformer of a sympathizer who's doing this and that. Fuck you, bro. Fuck you. They know exactly what they're doing. I'm sorry. People like this, they know what they're doing. And here's what the Daryl Cooper guy said. He said, I don't even really want to talk about this, or I will talk about it, but it could get you thrown in prison, and it's a crime in a lot of the world.
Because we've spent the last 70 years, in Europe's case, like literally throwing people in jail for looking into the wrong corners, right? So there's and even
particularly in Austria, I can say.
Right. And so even in the United States,
which was an invaded country, so I'm not exactly sure why it's so important.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a big topic, but even in the United States, where
So keep in mind, this is the episode that they're trying to basically sweep under the rug and act like is like, oh my gosh, like Tucker platformed this guy. He's literally explaining in the episode, he's like, this is a crime in a lot of places in the world. And Tucker's like, yeah, it's pretty much a crime here. Like Tucker knew that doing that interview was going to get this result because everybody knows. But let's keep watching, because we're going to get into some things that completely contradict that. Let's look.
Even the United States, where you're not going to go to jail necessarily for doing that. You might have your life ruined and lose your job.
You might absolutely go to jail in this country.
Nowadays, you might, yeah. But, you could write a book. You could take any angle on it you want. You're not going to ever get a job or have a publisher want to publish it or anything, but you could do it. You can go out on the street corner and stand on a box and say whatever it is you think. But even still.
So I'm going to play the next clip, but you have to understand, in America, anti-Semitism or questioning World War II, we're talking about anything that they don't want you to talk about in any sort of way, even if you're not denying anything. It's a crime in 19 countries. It's not quite a crime in America, but it is being passed. The IHRA definition of anti-Semitism is being passed all over the place. And you have people, not just in left-wing media, but in right-wing media, the Seth Dillons of the world, they pile on top of you, giving you a label that they know will make it really hard for you to do anything, including travel to other countries. And then they sit back and say, I didn't want that to happen. I'm against censorship. I just wanted to label you something that I know will get you censored. Well, what does that word mean? It's like me saying you're a racist, and then you get banned from Australia, and you're like, how am I a racist? It's like, well, I just determined that you talk about race in a way I don't want you to talk about it. So you're that now, and it gets you banned from a country, but I don't want you to do it. So I just find it fascinating. I'm not going to play this whole interview because I want to get into the Candace stuff. I find it so interesting that they spent 2 minutes being like, you get banned in foreign countries for talking about this topic we're talking about, and it's essentially pseudo illegal in America because they'll ruin your life if you ever talk about it. And all it took was them to do that for everybody to come out of the woodworks and do exactly what they knew that they would do.
That event is really it's such a core part of the state religion that there are emotional triggers built into people since childhood that almost prevent them from taking an approach that might lead them to information or to conclusions that are not part of the state religion's version of that event. When you have a mythologized historical event that is told, that is I mean, again, you go to a lot of places in Europe, it's a legal requirement. Over here, it's not quite that, but it almost might as well be where that this event is going to be described from a certain perspective. You're going to approach it a certain way. There are just certain things you're not allowed to question. You have to
literally, it's a crime to ask questions.
Right.
Yes.
Like they're literally detailing it. They're like, it's a crime in other countries to do this, and it's pretty much a crime in America. So all it took was them to do it for people to come out of the woodworks and start calling them a denier. And I want to, before I play this next clip, and then I'll get into other stuff, people need to understand this narrative of it. If you're pro-Israel, cool. If you're Jewish, cool. Christian, white, black, I don't care what you are. God bless you. It has nothing to do with that. If you're for free speech and against censorship, you would acknowledge, especially as someone like Seth Dillon, be like, there's 19 countries where this is a crime. They're slowly pushing this into legislation in America to police hate. And I'm just going to, it would be like if I knew calling someone an anti-vaxxer was going to get them deleted from YouTube, and I knew that the word anti-vaxxer was really just a cover to stop people from criticizing pharmaceuticals. It would be like me calling you an anti-vaxxer 50,000 times and a denier of big pharma, and then you get deleted. And it's like, I didn't want to get them deleted. And I know I have all these speech laws for my race and my religion. And I'm not saying it's Seth Dillon's religion, but other people, it is their religion, or it is their ethnic group, or whatever, or it's their belief, or they have a tie to it through their Christianity, whatever it is. It's like, you have all these lurking speech laws all over the world. And then you still choose to call people that name. Like, could Seth Dillon out debate Tucker Carlson on this topic? No. He'd get blown out of the water. Seth Dillon is an idiot compared to Tucker Carlson on a lot of topics. He's a smart, interesting, impressive guy. He's no Tucker Carlson. Everybody knows it. He's no Candace Owens. Everybody knows it. But he can't out-debate you. He just wants to tell you, you're not allowed to question that. You're not allowed to talk about it. You're not even allowed to go near it. Go talk about communism or China or Mao Zedong or Stalin or this or your history or your tragedies or whatever, or our tragedy. Talk about whatever you want, question whatever you want, have a discussion. But if you go near this event, I will try to ruin your life, and we will try to ruin your life. And then we'll act like we don't know who we are when we ruin your life and when we attempt to ruin your life, because we also simultaneously want to pretend like there's nothing going on. You understand? It doesn't matter what country you like or if you're this or that. This is happening. If you like the First Amendment in America, and you don't want to end up like Europe or Australia, yes, you got to worry about the left, the LGBTQ, the pharmaceutical criticism, but you also have to worry about this from the Republican Party. They do this to you worse than the left if you have any sort of conversation about anything that they deem anti-Semitic. And if you want to know what is anti-Semitic, don't listen to what you think it is. Go look on the State Department website. They have it defined. There's a definition called the IHRA working definition of anti-Semitism that is illegal in upwards of 19 countries. It is being passed through thousands of organizations worldwide. It's in 30 states. More than half of the states are passing a working definition of a hate speech word that now includes you're not allowed to say that anybody has dual loyalty of this race or this religion, and you can't criticize Israel, and you can't say that the people that must not be named killed Jesus. And like, these are in the working definition of anti-Semitism. They're pushing to pass hate speech laws in America. No matter how much they deny it or fact check it or say they're not, they are. It's obvious. And the Republican Zionists are basically like the fake opposition, where they're like, yeah, we're against cancel culture. But the second you go near one of the 10 topics that they've determined anti-Semitic that could get you banned from Australia, which is probably going to happen to Tucker and Candace at this point, they're throwing these accusations on you because you're not that, but you're a sympathizer of that, and you've platformed that. It's the same tactics of the left. And they've done it for 5 years. Excuse me, I've had too much coffee today. I'm sorry if I seem a little jacked up. I wasn't really prepared to stream, but also this is why, like, even making videos or being in politics, who cares? If you don't understand this topic, you don't understand anything. And they've been doing this for 5 or 6 years. It's the reason the Republican Party's fake. And the second anybody gets too honest, like a Candace or a Tucker Carlson, they fly out, and they're a bigger enemy to you than the left is. Like, they hate your guts. They're trying, oh, I wasn't doing that to Tucker. Bro, we know you were. Here's the last clip, and then we're going to get into the Candace stuff.
Then whenever that's the case, when you try to add any type of balance to that account, when you try to tell the story in a way that brings other approaches and other perspectives into it, it's going to look like you're trying to justify those other things. That's just how it's going to seem to people who are very locked into this side. And so if you start talking about the interwar period.
Okay. So that's the part of the Tucker interview I thought was interesting, because once again, I just want to show you. The CEO of Babylon Bee is basically like, Tucker's flirting on the lines of platforming Holocaust deniers and such, and Nazi sympathizers. And, once you get those labels, like, you're pretty much fucked, So they give you those labels, and then they're like, yeah, but we weren't really, we were just, okay, then sit down with Tucker Carlson or that historian and this is all the people that get smeared by people like Seth Dillon that I've seen. I can't speak for everybody because there's some shitty people on all sides. Obviously, there's a lot of losers too on the other side of that debate. But in general, like, people are like, all debate about it. Like Candace Owens or Tucker. I'm sure now, Tucker doesn't feel like talking to Seth Dillon because that's a small fry compared to Tucker. But at the same time, I'm sure Tucker would be like, I'm not asking you to agree with me or not be offended. I'm asking you to be able to sit with me for 2 hours and have an intellectual debate, or Daryl Cooper. These people don't want to do that. They just want to constantly slander and smear you and run away. So then they're the only cream of the crop and you only hear their version of everything. And then they just convince people that you're crazy or hateful. Speaking of which, Candace Owens was demonetized, which means she can't make money for a while on YouTube. And she also is suspended, so you can't watch her show this week. Let's look at why. This is really interesting, folks. Candace said, thus far, I have had 0 strikes on my YouTube creators account. I've now been inundated with 3 back-to-back content hits within 3 minutes, plus an email that I'm now fully demonetized, so she can't make money on YouTube. And she also said that her show this week was canceled because they struck the Kanye interview that she did that Daily Wire and Ben seemed like they didn't want to put out. She put it out on her own recently. She said, there will be no show today or at all this week. That's because YouTube has issued a strike on a 1-week suspension for my sit down with Kanye. They also removed my interview as hate speech, as it was mass reported by Zionists. Their tactics never changed. And it says YouTube does not allow content containing conspiratorial claims that individuals or groups are evil, corrupt individuals or groups. You can't say an individual is evil. That's fascinating. Corrupt or malicious based on their protected group status. Specifically, the video in question contains the claim that Jewish people control the media. So I got to run that back because it's probably going to go off the screen in a second. At first, I hear people like Lex Friedman and others, and I know he has nothing to do with this necessarily, but he's just like, don't talk about the group, the Jewish group. Okay, obviously it's not all Jewish people, but talk about the individual. Now YouTube's saying you can't even talk about evil individuals. It's like, well, now it's like you can't talk about the group or the individual because they're a protected group. What? Is that the real email? Oh, sorry about that. We gotta run this back. It's gonna take like 15 seconds. But I gotta reread that again. So it's like she's now suspended from YouTube for a week and can't do her show. Her show's getting canceled for a week because she put up an interview where she interviewed Kanye West, and Kanye West suggested that some Jewish people control the media. So in order to show you that no one controls the media, they have a special group status that says that you're not allowed to say an individual or group runs the media or something. YouTube does not allow content containing conspiratorial claims that individuals or groups are evil. Yep. No individual is evil. Everybody's just great in this world, right? There's no evil individuals. Crazy. Corrupt or malicious based on their protected group status. Specifically, the video in question contains claims that Jewish people control the media. So now, not only does Seth Dillon get mad at people like Tucker Carlson, but YouTube will delete you. You just can't say that. Hopefully, YouTube has never seen this article. And if they take my channel down, guys, I literally don't give a fuck anymore. I'm tired of this shit. Honestly, I've done this for 5 or 6 years. Zionist Republicans have been the biggest bullies to me out of anybody by far. Behind the scenes, mass articles that Republican Zionist media starts, they plant a whole thing. They basically dox me. They lie about me. And then it ends up in liberal media and CNN and MSNBC and foreign news and fucking Drudge Report. Yeah, we know what you guys are doing. It's so fucking obvious. It's not just the liberals. It's Zionist media also. And anyway, sorry about that. Here's the LA Times. This is a Jewish author from 2008. He said, "Who runs Hollywood? Come on," where you could go look it up. His name is Joel Stein or Joel Steen. He wrote an article documenting how, a lot of Jewish people do dominate the media in Hollywood. And he just was mocking the ADL for like calling it so hateful when he's like, dude, everybody knows, like, just give it up. So, but remember, can't say it on YouTube or they'll take your channel down, even though it's written about by Jewish authors. Can't suggest it. I mean, can I say Mexicans run the media? How come I can say that? Because Mexicans don't run all media and no one gives a shit and they don't care and they don't have special laws, right? There's only one group that you can't say runs the media, folks. And just when they shut your channel down, YouTube, that proves that they don't run the media, because by shutting your channel down, it just shows you that they have no power whatsoever. And when Seth Dillon gets mad at you and says, don't question my history at all or go near my history or have any discussion about this historical event, why is Seth Dillon more special than me or Tucker Carlson? What makes Seth Dillon so special? What's his ethnicity? Is it the group that has a special class? So can I say that he has a special class because his tragedies are worse than everybody else's and historical events cannot be talked about unless he affirms? Can I say, oh no, that's also hate speech to even say that he thinks that that's how it should go. But obviously that's how everyone thinks it should go. I don't care if people said George Washington's a transgender. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I think George Washington was a patriot, but if you say he was a trans, demonic, you know what I'm saying, Christian, or a Freemason, I don't give a shit. I don't have special rules and laws that say you can't say this or that, nor do I want them. But remember, folks, there is a group of people, and it's not just in liberal media, that they need special rules, special laws, special privileges, and then it becomes hate speech to say that they have any of those things that they're telling you that they do have when they tell you to shut up. It's basically like, shut up, boy. That's what they want to do. They even look up to Tucker Carlson like, boy, what do you think? It's like, bro, Tucker Carlson's so far above you. Who the fuck do you think you are talking to Tucker Carlson? Like, you could have an opinion and you could debate him and stuff, but you won't even go on a show and debate him. Your whole gist of the argument was, how dare you platform someone who spent tens of thousands of hours of research trying to explain the full picture that I don't want to be explained, or I disagree with his method. There's a lot of things I disagree of, but I don't call them deniers and this and that. I mean, you can call people that, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know what you're doing. I'm going to say this again before I play the Candace Owens reason for why she got deleted. She made a little video. I got 5 minutes of it. It's a crime in 19 countries. You can get thrown in jail in certain countries for questioning World War II. Literally. Oh, you want to question World War II in some European countries? Jail, prison, thought crime, speech crime. Those exist. We all know those exist over in Europe. Yet, Republican Zionists keep accusing you of those crimes. I literally spoke about it in an Instagram reel where I just mentioned that it was a crime in 19 countries to say certain things, said nothing about it. And somebody comes in my comments and he says, oh, I know what you believe this. And then he accuses me of that crime, which is not true, which is not a crime in America, but it would be if certain people get their way. But in general, it's like they'll falsely accuse you of a crime you didn't commit that they know is illegal in other countries, that they know will get you banned, that they know will get you thrown off of sponsorships. I'm not doing anything. I'm just accusing you of what I know would get you thrown in prison and banned from other countries. I don't do that to anybody. I just say you're full of shit. I just say you suck. I say you're lying. I don't accuse you of a speech and a thought crime that would throw you in prison in a foreign country while they're ushering in that speech and thought crime in America. Well, it's already essentially here, because if you want to be successful on social media, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, right? There's only one real website that you could kind of talk about this stuff. It's called Twitter, and it's now banned in Brazil. I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons. Elon Musk is ruffling quite a few feathers, but it's like, it's not illegal in America, but if you ever cross a line, and the problem is the line, it's like calling someone homophobic or racist. The line is so hard to tell. Like, can I say that transgenders shouldn't play basketball with women, or no? Is that hate? Like, what is the line? The line is like, wah. I know what the line is for anti-Semitism because I've read all the speech laws, and it's like, you can't say anything. You basically just have to get on your knees and say, yes, everything you do is right. You've never made a mistake. You've never done anything wrong. You're amazing. Your history is more important than mine. Everything that's ever happened to you is way more important than me. And I have to live my life basically serving you. Like, but you can't say that too, because even me saying that would be considered like hate speech. Like, oh, how dare you say? It's like, what do you want me to do? I have to literally agree with you on like 20 different topics, and I can't say anything. I can't even talk. Like, I've been accused since 2019 where it's like, oh, he sounds like that person. I don't even know who the fuck that person is, excuse my language, but it's like, they'll say, but you know, you didn't do anything wrong, but you sound like someone who did something wrong. Okay, and you sound like someone who did something wrong too. You sound, you know, you're defending a war that hundreds of thousands of people have died in. Like, I'm not accusing you of that, but like, I have to take the blame for what you think I sound like. Like, now it just becomes like a hallucination. Like, we just get to like make stuff up and just blame you and say that like you're connected to this. Like I mentioned in my other podcast, I don't want to harp on it too much, but Patrick Bet David in his podcast, he said he called Candace Owens and was like, yo, you know, you should think about what you're doing basically, because like, look what Dan Bilzerian said. It's like, bro, I'm not going to accuse you of the Israel side of the war. And Candace Owens, like Dan Bilzerian's not stupid. Like, I doubt it's like, oh, he heard Candace Owens and he became radicalized. Like, who knows if that was even part of his journey to where he got? Like, why is Candace Owens to blame what Dan Bilzerian's doing? There's a lot of people that say a lot of stupid shit on Twitter that I'm like, I have nothing to do with that. Or like, you know, I don't agree with that. I listened to the whole Dan Bilzerian interview and I didn't fully agree with him. You know, I'm myself. Like, if I had an interview, I'd say what I think. I don't think what he thinks because he's him. He does a lot of shit that I don't agree with, you know, same with like Andrew Tate and everybody. But like, the thing is, it's like they'll be like, oh, well, he said this and he did this, so you're that too. And it's like, we're all responsible for what we say. He can handle himself, they can handle themselves, and I can handle myself. But when they're ready to and it's not just a cancel. It's like, if we attach this label to your name, you're done. You know, they tried to when I did the Vivek, and I'm going to play the Candace clip real quick, but when I did the Vivek Ramaswamy interview, right, it's probably one of the bigger moments in my career. The second that it came out, Zionist Republican media planted a story doxing me, calling me an anti-Semitic YouTube channel. And it ended up in foreign press. It ended up in liberal press. It ended up on Drudge Report, doxing me, calling me an anti-Semitic YouTube channel. And then everybody publishes it because this scumbag devil in Republican media was like, let's just try to fuck up this kid's life. You know, he's worked hard his whole life. He's built all this without our support. And, you know, he's never had a major corporation behind him. And he's like an American dream, like worked hard, was broke in his 20s, had no car. Let's try to ruin his fucking life right now and get the whole world to say that his channel is an anti-Semitic YouTube channel. So he gets fucked. So he gets banned from foreign countries. So he gets demonetized. So he never gets a fucking job again. Fuck you guys. They're such fucking evil people. Okay. And they've been doing it to me for 6 years. Excuse my passion. But it's like, now that this is all coming out, it's because I never got to work at these companies because they never allow me to work at these companies. And I don't fucking need them. They're just mad that I have so much influence, and all the little puppets and little fucking people they hire that just suck up to them can't fucking light my candle. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't even shine my shoes, half these idiots that they're hiring. But in general, it's like, they've been doing it to me. Nobody cared because it's like, oh, whatever. Like, they're just trying to. And now it's like, now they're coming for Tucker Carlson. Now they're coming for Candace Owens. It's like Candace is going insanely hard on the topic. I understand. Tucker Carlson didn't fucking do anything. I mean, he had one interview with one fucking guy, and he always has the other side of the story on, or at least like other people that they approve, and they're trying to ruin Tucker's life now. It's not a little thing. It's not like, oh, it's just a drama. I'm voting for Trump, but like, I don't even want to be around these people anymore, because this is the type of shit that they do. They literally try to take the craziest label they can, pin it on you, and then they plant it in the fucking media, and then you can't even say they fucking run media, and then it ends up in liberal media, conservative media, and foreign media. Oh, this is who you are now, and we know that that's going to get you your life destroyed, and perhaps you can't even travel around Europe anymore. But we're sorry. I mean, I know we don't even know that you really think that, but like, you are an anti-Semite. It's like, this is what they do to everyone. They're bigger bullies than liberal media, and liberal media is crazy. Okay. I'm going to play this clip of Candace. It's going to be 5 minutes long. So the first one's 3 minutes or so. And she's explaining in her words what she thinks happened with her YouTube channel.
That you have to host a space. Anyways, obviously I'm doing this because my account just got suspended on YouTube, and I shared with you guys exactly how it happened, which was, you know, prior to prior to today, I had nothing on my account other than the day that that account Awesome Jew began publishing a step-by-step guide for how people could mass report my Tristan Tate interview when my Tristan Tate interview aired. And YouTube actually responded on Twitter and said that these sort of targeted harassment campaigns wouldn't work. And then lo and behold, they quite literally took down that video, and we then filed an appeal, and we haven't actually heard back on that appeal. But I kind of put it in the back of my mind. And interestingly enough, like, it's kind of been a journey with this, and I did kind of expect this to happen, especially after the Rabbi Shmuley debate. I knew there would be some price that I had to pay for it, because you just can't have a video or a debate go that viral. And I could just see how angry the Zionist community was about it. And you could sense their anger also in their silence, which is so interesting just to weigh against. 2 weeks ago, every Zionist account on social media, every Zionist media member was writing articles hysterically from here to Australia saying, Candace Owens is having a mental breakdown, Candace Owens is unhinged, Candace Owens is angry, writing lies about me. And yet, absolute crickets. If you go online right now and you type in like Rabbi Shmuley, Candace Owens, despite the fact that it was trending for 2.5 days on Twitter, not a single article was written which was negative about Rabbi Shmuley. And it sort of has been like a build with like throughout, I would say, the last year, really almost exactly a year. I think sort of post October 7th, for better or worse, things have changed. We're not going back to the place, the America, the conservative, the Republican movement, whatever you want to call it, that we were prior to October 7th. And I think it caused a lot of people to see the world through a different lens, and to see a lot of people who they had trusted and who they thought were morally consistent not live up to that expectation. And so I knew, like, when the first kind of harassment campaign came, and it was essentially like, this is what your opinion has to be on this situation, and I didn't bite on that, I knew what the consequence was going to be. Obviously, everybody saw the writing on the wall. It was like, we will come for your job, and you will no longer have the platform that you do. But I really did have the confidence, like, when all of that happened this year, like, I knew that I would be fine, because I very much believe in myself. And I think that that kind of comes from, I think the public trusts me. We've been through enough together with, the media spells, whether it's Black Lives Matter and me taking an opinion that was not mainstreamed, COVID, me taking an opinion that was not mainstreamed, all with the exact same name calling, the exact same harassment, the exact same people pretending that I was too stupid to be able to have an opinion about these matters. She's not a doctor. She's not an expert. How dare she say this? Fine. And we've gotten through those things, and I've been on the right side of it. And so there's just been a very long history between me and the people that follow me. And like I said, some earned trust. And so,
Right. I mean, I do agree with that. If you earn people's trust, it's a lot harder for them to smear your character, and like nobody gives a shit. So, I'm sorry I got a little hyped up, but like I'm not throwing in a towel or anything. I'm just trying to tell people how it is, because this is real quick. I'll play the second part of her thing as well. In 2019, I'll be very brief because I know I've said this story, but for those who've never heard it or seen it, I was rising the ranks in conservative media. People were inviting me places. I had a huge Facebook page. I was getting millions of views and everything, and everybody liked me, right? And I thought everything was cool because I was even nicer than I am now. I think I'm still nice, but like I was like, you listen and watch my videos. Like I have a very pure soul, and I was never trying to argue with people or fight. I was trying to be as nice as I possibly could while telling the news. And my buddy hits me up, who worked at the time at like Blaze TV, and he's like, bro, everybody's calling you far right. I was like, why are they calling me far right? Because to me, everyone used to call me like the liberal, even though I wasn't that liberal. They were like, oh, he's the hippie with long hair that, used to like Bernie Sanders, and he's the liberal. And that was my reputation in Republican media, like the more liberalish guy who can tell our story better than we can, that we could share with our liberal friends who will listen to him. And then all of a sudden I'm like, who's branding me far right and why? Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. Like, especially at the time, like I wasn't even like libertarian or whatever. And they're like, oh, it's because you're talking about the speech laws. I was like, oh, Trump and DeSantis passed IHRA speech in like anti-Semitism, basically like a definition, which I felt like was a massive infringement on the First Amendment, and just too much. Like it would be like a racist speech law, George Floyd racist speech law, in which they, they say like it's racist to talk about crime statistics. It's racist to say that, you know, there's ghettos in black communities. It's racist to like say that any black person likes black people more than they like America. It's racist to say that any black person likes Africa. Like, this is what the anti-Semitism rules are. It's like, and then it's like, oh, it's, you know, it's, you can't criticize this foreign country. You can't, like, it's ridiculous. So that's all I talked about. I was pro-Israel. I had like, I was always cool with everybody. Like, I wasn't even like, the Palestine thing meant nothing to me. Like, everybody liked Israel around me. So I was cool with it. I was like, yeah, this makes sense for sure. And then I was just like, I'm just against the speech laws. And then they branded me as far right and tried to, behind the scenes, destroy my career. It didn't work because during COVID, I did some of the best work. So I got really successful through COVID. And, you know, I ended up blowing past all of these little puppets and pawns that they hire. And then after COVID, it's like, you know, as soon as I got the Vivek interview and I broke through the mainstream again, they planted a story, Republican Zionists planted a story at Free Beacon that ended up on Drudge in liberal media. And then they swept me under the rug, called me an anti-Semite. And then the guy at MSNBC basically copied my interview and then took credit for it. And then MSNBC is like, look, we're grilling Vivek Ramaswamy. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen. I was like, coordinated is an understatement. It was like a coordinated hit job to be like, we tried to ruin this guy's life behind the scenes for 5 years. Now we're going to do it publicly. But the funny thing is no one gave a shit. So it's like, I'm already so popular, and I'm not trying to brag, but like sometimes, like the other week, I was having like a lonely day. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say I was down on myself, but sometimes I get bored and lonely when I'm working too much and I don't get out and see my friends, etc. And I went to the bank, somebody recognized me. I went somewhere else, somebody recognized me. Like, I only saw 2 people my whole day because I was busy, and they both recognized me. Like, that's how powerful my videos have been. Like, people trust me, people like me, and when they write articles about me, no one gives a shit. And they hate the fact that they can't turn people against me because I already reached so many people without their help. And that's my side of the story. To play Candace's, she was in conservative media, but I already knew. I knew once they smeared me in 2019, I could never work at any of these corporations, because you have to not only be pro-Israel, but you basically have to be a puppet and be so pro-Israel that you're willing to skirt around your own rules when it comes to speech laws and exaggerating and basically calling everything hate speech and crying about stuff. You have to literally like go against your own beliefs in order to please what they want you to do, or else they don't let you there. I always knew that. Candace played along until she didn't, and then they kicked her out. And then it's like, oh, I'll start my own channel. And they're like, not really. Like, you could start your own channel, but now your channel's getting demonetized. Why wasn't it getting demonetized? She said crazier stuff when she was signed to Daily Wire. Why was Candace's channel not demonetized then? Go watch some of her videos right before she got, you know, whatever happened with Daily Wire. She was going crazy hard, but it wasn't until she went out on her, I'll go do it by myself. You know, banned. Anyway.
When things throughout at the beginning of this year, obviously stepping out on my own, I did feel that like very confident that I could rebuild my audience, because like I said, like I am the Candace Show. It's just me talking to you guys. And obviously, I think for the people like Rabbi Shmuley who were a part of that harassment campaign, like demanding that I lose my job, it was something that made them very angry to see that that didn't take me out. And to the exact contrary, my show has never been bigger. My show has never been more successful. I've never had more daily views. And that doesn't really work for them. And so they were not going to let up. And I knew that that was going to happen, because I think part of this sort of psychological terrorism is essentially you can only have a platform if we say you can. You can only have a platform if we're writing nice articles about you. You can only have a platform if we say that you're intelligent. You can only have a platform if we're willing to host you on our shows. And then you have people that are proving time and time again that that actually isn't a reality. And unfortunately, the people that we're dealing with don't have any other strategies. Like, this is what they've been doing for so long to great success, whether it's, again, calling somebody stupid, calling their opinions illegitimate because they're not experts, so you can't talk about vaccines. In the past, that's proven so successful, but we live in a different world post-COVID where the belief in the establishment has completely crumbled. And people are now really following the individuals that were willing to sort of buck those trends and say, hey, wait a second, like maybe let's not get the vaccine. Like, hey, maybe Black Lives Matter isn't telling you the truth. And maybe Zionism has become exceedingly radical. And you can watch these accounts. I mean, we saw this last week with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson had a historian on his show. And I want to be clear, the woke right and the woke left are the exact same. The woke right just doesn't have the courage to admit that they do the same thing, that they do the same tactics. And you had a bunch of people essentially saying that Tucker Carlson gave a platform to a Nazi apologist absent any proof. They couldn't pull out one sentence in which a person was apologizing for Hitler. And yet you had these radical Zionist accounts being like, Tucker's done. And it had no impact. It had absolutely no impact. It was just them speaking to themselves.
I would say that there will be people out there that would say, just to try to like see it from the other side, they'll be like, listen, Candace, she's very fiery, right? Like she talks a lot of shit. She goes hard at people. When you go hard at certain things, people are going to go hard back. That's just natural, right? Like, she's talking about Macron saying his wife may or may not have a penis. You know what I'm saying? Like she's going hard. So then people are going to want to in some way retaliate and just like, give back that fire that she's breathing and be like, screw you. Fair. Even though I think it's gone a little too far. With that being said, people, you know me, and it's like, go look at my 2019 work when I talked about the anti-Semitism speech laws. I did it as respectfully as I could. I did it as chill as possible. Like I literally was as nice as I possibly could be. And they try to do, not to the extent, because I'm not as famous as Candace, thank God, but not to the extent that they're doing it to Candace, but they're just as ruthless to people like me. Like it doesn't matter how little, like even if you just say like, I don't want the speech laws to be passed, they're going to come at you with the energy of 1,000 suns because they want the speech laws passed. They are cool. Like, these are questions that never come up in controlled opposition media, but like, why don't you ask some of these people, are you cool with speech and thought crimes in foreign countries where you go to prison? Are you okay that those same definitions are being passed into America while they're not crimes? They definitely could lead to crime. Like they're trying to police speech and they're doing it in sneaky ways. They're banning, X from and Rumble from Brazil because they can't control it. And I'm not saying it's the same exact people, but I'm just saying like they're trying to do that here. They're already doing it with pharmaceuticals and social media. So it's like the speech and thought crimes all around the world have infiltrated America and the corporations are pushing them to an extreme amount. And the second that someone comes along and it's like, oh, it's a free market. Elon Musk is rich enough to buy Twitter like that. You don't usually get to see this shit. And it's like, I'm going to do something different. Then they're going to try to ban you. Oh, Candace can just work by herself. She doesn't have to work for Daily Wire. Then she loses the protection of Daily Wire. And then they do stuff like this that probably wouldn't have happened if she was there. Maybe it would have. So it's just showcasing to the world what's really going on. And, it doesn't matter who you are or how nice you are. If you in any way cross the threshold of what is considered anti-Semitism, which at this point is literally everything based on the definition that they're passing into law, they come at you. But this is my question for them. And I'm going to repeat it and then I'm going to leave this short because I've said enough. I'm going to use it as an example for myself. I'm Italian. I'm Polish. Let's just say there's Italian speech laws. If I knew calling you an anti-Italophobe would get you banned from multiple countries, thrown in prison in multiple countries, kicked off of social media, banned on YouTube, suspended, demonetized, and essentially like it would be really difficult to work anywhere, left wing or right wing, for the rest of your life, I wouldn't be running around calling people anti-Italophobe because I would know like I have unfair speech laws that go in my advantage for my ethnicity only. And you can't say that we run banks and media because that's hateful or whatever. And, I'm just not going to like accuse you of these things that I know are crimes in other country and becoming crimes in America slowly. But that's what the Seth Dillons of the world do. They know that it gets you arrested in some countries. Of course they do. They know that it'll get you kicked off of YouTube. They know the rules. But they're fine with calling you that because they're like, well, this is my tribe that you can't say is my tribe. And we want special rules, but you can't say we have special rules. And we do dominate a lot of media, but you can't say we dominate a lot of media. And everybody notices the patterns in banking, but you can't talk about the patterns in banking. It's like, I'm not jealous. I don't give a fuck. Excuse my language. I'm not trying to like own a bank. So I don't care. Like banks are banks. Like they're doing what they're doing. The usury loans are getting a little ridiculous, but in general, I don't know how to run the Federal Reserve. So obviously someone else is going to do it. But like, you can't even talk about patterns in it without being called hateful. And then you have not just left wingers and right wingers cracking down on you to prove that they have no power as a collective. The collective comes down and cracks down on you, and then you lose something. And then that proves that that power has no collective. And then when you point to that power and you say, look at that power, and they're like, what power? That's hateful. What are you talking about? We don't know what you're talking about. You just sound hateful to me. Like, it sounds very dishonest. It sounds like you know exactly what's going on and you're a part of it. And then, you know, when it all scatters and then people say, oh, just talk about the individuals, don't talk about the groups, because there are literally groups with that label that are doing it. Okay, we'll just talk about the individuals. Can we talk about individual groups or the hundreds of groups that are doing it, or no? Can we not talk about? Okay, we'll just talk about the individuals. Well, now YouTube has a rule that says you can't even talk about individuals. They say talking about evil individuals in this protected class is against our rules. Like, they're not even hiding it. If that's really a true screenshot from Candace, I have no idea, but it's like, so am I just a slave? Like, should we just be honest? Like, I used to call myself a free range bougie slave during COVID, because it's like, I'm not free anymore. Can't fly. I don't have enough money to fly, private. Can't fly without a pharmaceutical mask. Everybody's yelling at me. I can't go out. I'm a slave now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to act like I'm free if I'm not free unless I move to another state. Let's just call a spade a spade. Like, you know, special rules, special privileges, special laws, speech laws, everybody in Republican media trying to ruin your life if you do that. And then the funny thing is, though, as much as I'm complaining about it, people really don't care. Like, Tucker Carlson's bigger than them. So they're trying so hard to make JD Vance look bad now. All these Republican ultra Zionists, they're like, look, JD Vance is still going to go on stage with Tucker Carlson. Like, now these people on the right are basically trying to ruin Trump's presidential campaign by saying that JD Vance should say something about it. It's like, dude, Tucker's huge. Just because he did one interview that you don't like doesn't mean you get to threaten everybody around Tucker Carlson that talks to him. That's what they do to me too, even if I don't even know the person they're talking about, or I've never talked to them. They're like, well, you sound like this person. It's like, oh yeah, now you guys are going to come at JD Vance. Hey, JD Vance, will you give a statement about this? They're just like liberals. It's like, oh, Donald Trump, one of your advisors said this 7 years ago. Like, are you a racist? That's what the Republican Zionists do. Not all of them, but a lot of them, to anybody that does anything. Like, it's like this coordinated attack where they just try to ruin everybody's life. And then you're like, oh, they're doing this. And they're like, oh, you can't even say. Why can't I say it? Oh, because we have special rules. Oh, you have special rules? Well, you can't say we have special rules. Why? You just said you have special rules. Yeah. Well, we could say we have special rules, but you can't say we have special rules. Why can't I say? Well, because we have certain things that are like a little bit more important than things that you want to talk about and things that you think were important. So like, we've determined that it's more important. Okay. That's fine. I get it. I'm a slave. I don't have the same rights as you. I get it. I'm used to it now. But it's okay. So can I can't even say it's happening? No. Okay. Well then, it's like being locked in your house and it's like, oh, lockdowns suck. And they're like, you can't say that. Okay, I'm in my house. Lockdowns are amazing. I'm getting fat. I can't go to a gym. This is so healthy for me. Is it good now, daddy? Like, this is the vibe that they want you to do. If you get out of line, the vibe is like, how dare you? How dare you think that you could go near this topic, even though you're not going as far as, we're saying you're going? We're going to exaggerate. But then we have these laws that say that it's hate speech if you say that we're even doing that, because you're not allowed to even say that we're exaggerating about you. But you are exaggerating about me. You are exaggerating about Tucker Carlson. It doesn't mean I know you can't say anything in that category about anything else. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Daddy. I'm so sorry. I broke the speech law. I'm so sorry. We get it. We understand that you're not allowed to say that about that and that about that. And we got to tiptoe around you because you got special boy rules. We all understand. Okay. But then you get to determine, well, you didn't say that, but I'm going to say that you platformed somebody that almost said that and was sympathetic to that. So now you're a platformer of a sympathizer. Well, that's a kind of fucked up label that you're giving me off of something. Like, can I say that you're wrong? Oh no, we're going to act like you can't even talk. Oh no, we didn't do it. It's like, dude, fuck you guys. Like everybody sees it. It's just like, and less people are giving a shit. People don't care anymore. They're trying to cancel Tucker Carlson. Nobody cares. Tucker Carlson's selling out stadiums. No one gives a shit about what Seth Dillon says on Twitter, but he wants to so bad. He so badly wants to rain on your parade and be like, I didn't rain on your parade. It's hate speech to say that I ran it. Why? Just admit it. Let's all just be honest about it. You get special boy rules, special boy laws, special boy definitions of hate speech that you don't want other ethnic groups to get, special boy foreign policy where you get different loopholes essentially that can say it's hate speech in order to talk about foreign country. If I talk about Ukraine, do I hate Ukrainians because it's the only Ukrainian place? If I criticize Italy constantly, does it mean I hate all Italians? Oh, no, but this country, it must mean that you're being hateful because that's all the people there. It's like, well, there's a lot of countries around the world where a majority, like if I hate on Japan, it's mostly Japanese people. But how do you talk about, oh, you just can't? Well, you can, because Japan has no special boy laws in America. They don't give, and they're not sensitive people. They take accountability and responsibility, and they're like, yeah, you can say whatever you want. We don't care. But another group can't say anything, can't say that you can't say anything, can't talk about the fact that they're trying to do what they're doing, can't say that it's happening, can't talk about it at all because it's not happening, but it is happening, but it's not happening. Are you guys following? These are the rules if you want to make it in Republican media, and these are the rules in general in America, that certain people have special rules for a race, special rules for a religion, special rules for history, special rules for a foreign country. And not only can you not say what they don't want you to say, but you can't even say that they're policing what you're saying while they're policing what you're saying. Isn't this fun? Isn't this lowering hate? Isn't this great? Isn't it awesome that you can get thrown in prison for questioning a historical event in a foreign country? Isn't it great? Isn't this awesome? Aren't you having fun? Aren't we winning? Are you guys watching Fox News and Daily Wire and Babylon Bee? Isn't this conservatism? Isn't this awesome? Look at Libs of TikTok. She posts another crazy liberal. Isn't this just awesome? Aren't we saving free speech? Aren't we crushing? Look at what they do to anybody. Elon Musk said one thing one time. If you want to go look, he noticed that he didn't say all, but he noticed that some or one, I have no idea because it's hard for me to remember, one or some Jewish groups were pushing anti-white hatred. That's what Elon Musk essentially said one night. He's probably fucked up on Twitter just trying to keep it too real and was like, yo, I noticed that some of these Jewish groups were pushing anti-white hatred, and I disagree with hatred of races. Within 3 weeks, Elon Musk is in a foreign country going on an apology tour with Ben Shapiro. It's you're the richest man in the world. You said you noticed certain groups pushing hate towards another group. You're allowed to say it about other groups. You could even say it about black groups now. It's not that hard. But you noticed that that group was pushing hate towards that group. No. Just to prove that you're being so hateful, foreign country apology tour with Ben Shapiro and all of his friends, all of his little ethnic buddies, right? But don't say that it's even happening because that's just a choice that you want. Like, it's just like so obvious, you know? So it's like, that's what the world is at this point. Not all of the world, but it's like the countries that it's a crime, you go to jail. The countries where it's a fine, you get fined. America, like they said, I mean, should I play the video again? It's like, yeah, it's not going to get you in prison, but they'll get as close as they possibly can in the sense of like, you know, how do we ruin his life? How do we dox him? How do we do this? How do we lie about him? How do we exaggerate? How do we try to get him banned? How do we investigate? How do we do this? How do we set him? Like they'll, you know, it's like if they can't do what they do in other countries in the sense of policing speech, just like with all the other topics you guys know, whether it's LGBT, pharmaceuticals, like politics, you know, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, well, you're technically being hateful because you don't want to get the vaccine. So now we're going to say that you're killing everybody. It's like, why are you going to say that? Why are you exaggerating? Oh, because if you could tie that to that, to that, to that, then you could try to get the government at you or that, and then you can get it deleted. It's the same thing. Let me see. Someone said it's a losing battle. This is the hill. Well, I'm going to say this and I'm going to keep it under an hour. And let's wrap it up on this because Tucker's Tucker, Candace is Candace. They could, you know, handle their own, whatever. I've done this since 2016. Okay. I've talked about the news. I've talked about politics. There's been multiple topics that the media's lied and they've censored. It's not just this. Obviously, it's like pharmaceuticals. It's, you know, there's a lot of things that they've done. It's not just one group. The liberals have done this. I understand that. Okay. Out of all my experience, and this includes psychotic liberals, pharmaceutical censorship. I mean, that's definitely up there. The fucking, excuse my language, the censorship during COVID. That was pretty aggressive. The demonetization was insane. It was a different type of pressure. It was financial pressure and cutting my reach. To be honest, that might have been worse. The pharmaceutical I got. But as far as like sheer energy and like smear campaigns, that was more of like, we'll just cut your money and destroy your page or try to. Nothing has come close to the energy of the smear campaign of Zionists. Not all of them. I'm friends with a lot. But the Zionist media, the ones that plant stories in right-wing media and ends up in left-wing media in foreign countries, no, like it's not even debatable. Like even thinking about how mad liberals got at me, it was like 1/20th as crazy as Zionist media goes at you for literally noticing speech laws. People don't even know this because they just make up stuff. I'm not anti-Israel. I'm not pro-Palestine. I've never said Israel doesn't have a right to defend itself. To be quite clear, if you actually care, I don't even tell Israel what land it can and can't take. Like, I think it would be fair if they stopped killing so many people and didn't take the land. But at the same time, who the fuck am I to tell Israel what to do? I don't even tell them they can't take the land. And some people get mad at that, but it's like, I'm not a world leader. Netanyahu doesn't listen to me, and nobody should listen to me. I'm a fucking podcaster. But in general, I'm not anti-Israel. I'm not pro-Palestine. I think Israel has a right to exist. I think it can do what it wants, but everybody doesn't have to like it. And with that being said, they still have gone so vicious at me because I just disagree with the speech laws from an American perspective. This is where I draw the line. I don't think a thought crime and a speech crime should be a crime. And I don't think one race and one religion and one foreign country should have special carve-outs in America. If you get special carve-outs in America for a foreign country, and essentially it's easier for me to criticize my country than it is another country, let's just be honest and say that country owns our country. But you can't even say that country owns our country because that's a speech crime. You can't say this group owns this. You can't say this group owns this. They could say they own that. They could literally own that in some cases, individuals, but you can't say it. You can't say this. You can't say that. You can't say this. You can't say that. We get it, bro. Someone said it's not a good hill. I'm not saying it's a hill, but what I'm saying is I don't want to talk about this all the time because it's getting to the point where it's just boring to me. But in general, it's like what people don't realize is like you can't succeed in media unless you address this. If you try to turn the other cheek and just be like, whatever, I'm going to ignore it, you could do that. Absolutely. But at the same time, it's like at a certain point, they're going to go and go and go and go and go and go. And it's going to be one of those things where like you either have to like completely quit, which I'm not a quitter. I'm never going to do, or you have to lie. And I'm not a liar. Or you just address it and then you move on. I've addressed it a few times. I've moved on, but it's like, and you know, like people like, oh, don't talk. Like everything's fake if you don't understand this talking point. Like this is another example I've used a bunch of times. Sorry, I already went over. I don't care who does what, who gives money to who, but I, in my country, just want to talk about it, right? If the pharmaceutical industry gives hundreds of millions of dollars to politicians and they buy up stuff and they control the government or work with the government, I want to talk about the pharmaceutical industry controlling the government. If not, let's just be honest. Let's stop talking about, oh, it's a democracy and you're free. Let's just call ourselves slaves and I'll get back to work. You know what I'm saying? But if we're going to have the illusion of free speech or whatever, I'm going to use it to be honest and to be kind and fair. And if I can't, then let's just call a spade a spade. With that being said, with this topic, it's just like, it is what it is, but it's like everything else kind of comes downstream from that. And, you know, it's hard to not talk about because it's like, you know, if Candace is trying to do a foreign tour and there's groups trying to get her banned from a country, it's the same reason I talked about Djokovic getting banned from Australia for vaccines. It's a big story. Like a celebrity is banned from a country for a very crazy reason. But you know, I'm never going to stop telling the truth. I'm never going to lie, but it's like, I'm going to talk about this because it's going to come up. And in my opinion, I'm going to end on this note because I'm kind of all over the place, but, you know, I don't care what people do in their private life, but LGBTQ plus censorship has gone too far. If you don't allow people to disagree with American foreign policy, then our censorship has gone too far. Like what they're trying to do over Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Palestine, it's crazy. So they're trying to crack down on free speech, and everybody sees the left-wing versions of it, right? They see the liberals, they see the democracy, the anti-Trump stuff. Like everyone sees that censorship. Just as big as that is the Zionist censorship. And it's all going to come together. And then one day you're just not going to be free. And then this country's fucked. That's how I feel. So as long as I'm doing what I'm doing, it's like if censorship comes to America and this becomes the norm, people don't even know because they're so disillusioned with left and right wing politics. But look at the history of the IHRA anti-Semitism laws. It's not even 15 years old. They created this definition in like Bucharest or something like 10 years ago or so. a little bit more recent, maybe it was 2014, I forget. But within 10 years, they create this working definition of anti-Semitism, right? This is what, and you can go read what it means. The working definition of anti-Semitism: you can't say Jewish people control the banks and the media. You can't say Jews kill Jesus. You can't talk about blood libel, which Ben Shapiro constantly accuses everybody of. If you ever say anything, he calls it blood libel. Like there's all these rules that you can't say, right? You can't question history. Obviously, that'll get you thrown in jail in Europe. But in general, it's like, here's all the anti-Semitism laws. Okay. From the time that Jewish organizations created the IHRA anti-Semitism working definition, it's been passed in the last 10 years or so. It's been passed in 30 American states, more than half. It's been passed into thousands of organizations. It's been passed into dozens of countries. They're basically global anti-Semitism laws. How do you get these laws for one race, one religion, in one country, the same exact identical speech rules? How do you get them passed in over half of American states? You have to have power, but you can't say they have power. How do you get them passed in so many countries and make it illegal? You have to have power, but you can't say they have power. That's one of the rules. It's so obvious. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, at this point, it is what it is, but it's like, as an American citizen, if they go this route and Republicans cave on this, Republicans like Trump and DeSantis, they deserve to get persecuted. Like, Trump gets called anti-Semitic all the time. He's not. He's done so much for Israel, but they still call him that. And he deserves to be called that. Not because he is, but because he's passed the laws. This is how stupid Trump is, or how controlled he is. He passes anti-Semitism rules into executive order for his donors. One of the rules is you can't say he's doing it for his donors, but everybody knows he is. And then he'll go say something that's considered anti-Semitic. And everybody will be like, oh, it's not anti-Semitic. Not to you, but he passed the law. He's so stupid or controlled that he's passing a definition of anti-Semitism that he doesn't even follow himself. Ted Cruz doesn't follow it. DeSantis doesn't follow it. None of these people follow the law. And then they get called anti-Semitic and they're like, not me. Read the fucking law you passed, bro. Yeah, you're not anti-Semitic to me, but my definition doesn't matter. It's the working definition. That's why when Candace debated Rabbi Barclay, Candace said, there's a bunch of different people who don't agree on the definition of anti-Semitism. And he goes, no, we kind of all do agree. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got really mad. He's like, there kind of is a definition. There kind of is, like, it's the IHRA definition. Yeah, not every Jewish American agrees with it. Not every Republican agrees with it. It doesn't give a they don't care what you think. It's being passed into law. Then they're going to use that law to try to investigate people. They're going to use that law in court cases to try to, explain why they can get leverage over you in court. In some countries, it gets you thrown in prison. It's there. If it wasn't a thing, it wouldn't need to be passed into law. Do they have a definition of what racism is in law? Imagine if you went to a court and they said it's technically racist to say that there's black organizations that care more about black people than America. That's a fact. But imagine if you couldn't say it, or you lost a court case because it was passed through law that was the definition. That's what's going on with anti-Semitism. Not in America, in dozens of cities and dozens of countries in over 30 American states. And this hasn't been a thing since 1970 or 1990. They're doing it now. This is why I got excommunicated from Republican media. I'm telling you, I could have been. You think I'm not cooler than Michael Knowles? Everybody knows I could be bigger than Michael Knowles. He's a fucking clown. But anyway, Andrew Klavan, you think I can't you think I already have a bigger audience than Andrew Klavan with like no budget. The guy's a freaking idiot, but he's a fucking loser. But anyway, it's like they're willing to make people into certain things if you're willing to follow the rules. Once I realized, because I was early on it was like 2019, and I read newspapers for a living essentially. So I'm like, DeSantis just passed an anti-Semitism bill. Trump just passed an anti-Semitism executive order with his donors like smiling over him, like super happy about it. And I read the definition and I was like, holy shit. And at the time I was like, I'm pro-Israel. I'm just saying I don't agree with these rules. And they're like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? They're like, they needed to get me out of the way so fast and like try to make it seem like I didn't exist or I was crazy, because they didn't want people to know. Like, at first, that's all I was saying. I was literally just like, guys, they're passing hate speech rules in America under the definition of anti-Semitism and weeding them into state definitions. And people are like, oh, he's crazy. not crazy. He's anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Semitic. He's hateful. He's Palestine. I'm not Palestine. He's Ilhan Omar. I hate Ilhan Omar. Like, I'm none of these things. I'm just noticing this. That's what Republicans are. They're fake opposition. They're passing in the same speech laws that are going to persecute Trump eventually. And he's passing it on himself. Someone said, wrap it up now. Shut the fuck up, bro. Click the X button. Go watch the fucking, Aaron Rodgers throw another touchdown if you don't want to watch it. I don't care. But anyway, where were we? Oh no, fucking dildo fuck boys wants the stream to end, so it's over because all right. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Go drink your beer. Go get fat and watch Aaron Rodgers throw the touchdowns, and you'll be like, oh, maybe it's me on my fantasy team. I'm just playing. I like football too, but appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. But yeah, where I was, actually, I'm not gonna end. Fuck that guy. Noticing the speech laws got me excommunicated. 5 years went by. They passed it in dozens of other places. And then as soon as the story got too big that nobody could stop it, then Charlie Kirk makes a video about it. Then Matt Walsh makes a video about it. What are these laws? Bro, you study politics for a living and you don't know these laws? They're fucking lying to you, bro. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I like Matt Walsh. I don't. Everyone else at Daily Wire, the only one I really liked was Candace Owens. Even before what she's saying now, I liked her because of her pharmaceutical taste. But in general, it's like Matt Walsh is the only one there that's worth listening to. I mean, Brett Cooper seems nice too. I just don't watch her, but nothing against her. I just don't know. The rest of these clowns, like, they knew this. They sweep it under the rug. They try to push it away. And then 5 years later, when it's already like, I'm not going to say it's too late, but like it gets out and they're like, oh, what are these speech laws? Oh, yeah, these do seem a little bit too far. You really think they didn't know about them? You don't think they see what they're doing? You don't think Matt Walsh sees what they're doing to Candace and Tucker Carlson? I'm sure he'll talk about it in some form at some time. He doesn't want to deal with it, though. He knows if he ever says what he truly thinks, that he's probably gone. So he's like, I want the budget. I want to make my little documentaries and talk my shit against black people. And I'm not saying he hates black people. I'm just saying, like, he likes to be edgy, talk about the gays, talk about the blacks or whatever, talk about the crime rates, like, it's like, okay. And then I'll clock out. That's cool. He could do that, whatever. Piss off those. But like, he knows if he were like, yo, that's kind of fucked up what you did to Candace Owens. That's kind of crazy what you're doing to Tucker Carlson. Wait a second. I'm going to get like, then it's like, whoa, buddy, you're supposed to toe the line, not go there. You're supposed to wait 6 years and be like, oh, what are those speech rules? What they, Charlie Kirk. Whoa, dude, Biden's going to pass a speech rule, bro. It's been passed into 1,000 different organizations in the world. It's illegal in 19 countries. It's been passed into 30 states. And I know you knew that. And Charlie Kirk, his little doofus, big forehead ass, excuse my language, but he was running around in 2019 trying to convince everybody it was like him versus the anti-Semites. He knows about it. He was the biggest gatekeeper. The only thing bigger than the gate was his forehead that he was gatekeeping. And he was trying to be like, oh, everybody who disagrees with me is an anti-Semite. Bro, you could have a personal beef with Nick or somebody else. I don't give a shit. But like, you can't just pretend like that's not going on. Because at the end of the day, it's deeper than you and him and her, and you're mad at him because he said that. What's really going on? Like, Charlie Kirk is the best little puppet. He's like, oh my gosh, it's me versus the anti-Semites. It's me versus the anti-Semites. And all the anti-Semites that Charlie Kirk was beefing with, they were like, Charlie, do you agree with the hate speech laws being passed through government? And Charlie's like, oh my gosh, you remind me of white supremacists. And then like 5 years later, he's like, oh, Biden's going to pass these speech laws. You piece of shit. Trump passed them already. DeSantis passed them already. You fucking know. You know where you get your donor money for, and you know why you created a TPUSA/Israel to be like, I'm not Candace. Please keep donating to me, please. Everybody fucking knows. If he saw this, he'd probably laugh hysterically. He'd probably be like, fuck, dude, this anomaly guy, he's 100% right, and I know it, but I got to tap dance. Okay, then dance, bro. But you ain't no Usher dancing out here. You're not smooth with it like that. But anyway, I'm just being honest. I mean, it is what it is, but it's like this is just the thing that just cracks me up. I'm sorry. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but it's like I know that these people tried to cover it up for 6 years. And then they're like, whoa, did you see this, Patriots? Yeah, dude, I saw it in 2019, and that's why I never was allowed to go anywhere. That's why I almost got banned from their event. They called me up and were like, sorry, we had to revoke your ticket. Why? Well, because of your tweet. Was anything I said factually incorrect? Because like, what did I say? They're like, oh, you said Turning Point is doing stuff for Zionist donors. Because they are. I was like, I'm sorry. Was I not supposed to say that part out loud? My bad. I don't know. I thought we were all crushing out here. I thought we were going to make America great again. And the only way to preserve the First Amendment is to not sell it out. The only way to combat hate speech is to not cry hate speech over everything. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I'll end on, because there's multiple people that have said things to me or that are saying things that I disagree with. It's okay. Come on my show. One guy came and said, oh, I can't believe you said that. I thought you were smarter than this. And I'm like, it's some lawyer, right? And I said, okay, come on my show, because I like debating this stuff. It's exciting for me. Come on my show and tell me how smart you are and how wrong I was. And he apologized. He's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, then shut the fuck up, but that's cool. Thank you. Someone else, it's all good, disagrees with me on all these topics. No big deal. I'll be even nicer and more respectful in my debate, because now I'm just talking, being funny. But in general, it's like, they don't want to come on my show. Go watch my debate with conservative mama over Zionism. It's two different leagues here. It's like, oh, or is that a hateful conspiracy? It's like, bro, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking in reality. I'm not using words. Like, if you said like, yo, like fentanyl is killing people, it's like, is that anti-pharmaceutical conspiracy theory about like what? No, it's like literally what's like, I don't know what these words, like, it's like, are there high crime rates in New Orleans? It's like, oh, there's racist conspiracy theory. You mean the FBI crime statistics? Like, I know, like, we can debate about why it's happening. We could point and blame someone. I'm not pointing blame. I'm just like pointing out reality. And then we could debate on why it's happening. But if you can't even do that, then how could you ever do anything in this world? Like, if I guarantee you that Candace or Tucker would love to sit down with Seth Dillon and debate him on all the things that he's crying about. And I guarantee you, everybody would come across being like, Tucker's way more cool, way more honest, and way more likable, and way more factual than this guy. And same with Candace. But that's when it gets the most upsetting, because it's like, then these people are like, I have special rules. I have special laws. We tell everybody that they can't question us. And then I go and talk to them and I look stupid. Darn it. What am I going to do now? I got to keep smearing them. I've never, for all the stuff I've done, I said Charlie Kirk has a huge forehead, because he does. I've said Tim Pool looks like Diglett who wears a beanie, who might be a dumpster gremlin, because it's funny. I've never said that person's racist, that person's sexist, that person's xenophobic, they're an anti-vaxxer, a climate denier, a conspiracy theorist, an anti-Semite, a denier, platforming a person. Bro, I don't care if you have Kim Jong-un on your podcast. Like, you're allowed to have whoever you want, and you're not like a dictator platformer. That's awesome. You got a Kim Jong-un interview? That's legendary. Just make sure you ask him some journalistic questions, or else people are going to think you're a shill. With that being said, imagine if I was like, oh, Trump is a dictator meter. He met with a dictator. That's what the liberals did to Trump. This is what Zionists do to anybody who does whatever they don't want you to do. And then they don't want you to talk about the fact that they don't want you to do it. It's so annoying and fake and stupid. I could back up everything I'm saying, because here's the thing with me. I can't speak for these other people. People like Jake Shields and Dan Bilzerian and Candace Owens, they're them, I'm friends with Jake Shields, but we're different people. We think different. We talk different. We believe it. Like, I'm not responsible for what everyone else is doing. And anytime someone talks to me, they want to act like I'm everyone else, where it's like, you can talk to me and I'll tell you exactly what I think. I'm not Candace Owens. And here's the thing. It's like, Candace Owens, she's been doing her thing for 10 years without me. Why the fuck is it my fault? You know what I'm saying? I'm just talking about it. But in general, it's like, all of these people have this idea of what they think that I think. I'm not against that country. I don't even think it's my place to tell them what to do. I just want to talk about it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, do what I want you to do in Palestine. Who the fuck am I to tell Israel what to do? I'm not that guy. But I understand that people do. And that, like, that's their choice with their First Amendment to, like, you know, be an activist or whatever. But with me, it's like when people sit down with me, they have nothing for me. There's nothing, there's not, like, because I know the speech laws, I know what they're doing. I have 6 years of experience at this, because I was 5-6 years before a lot of people at even noticing it's happening. So it's like, let's talk about it. And they're not ready for it. That's why it's like, you're being hateful. I'm literally not, though. I'm literally not. It's not hateful. Like that guy, Daryl, whatever his name was. What's the guy's name that Tucker interviewed? Daryl. I don't even remember. Daryl Cooper. You know, he's a guy who thinks he knows a lot of things because he reads a lot and listens to a lot of history, and he wants to be a historian. Okay. He talked about Jonestown for 30 minutes. Like, oh, this is what was really happening in Jonestown. How come nobody cared about that? Jonestown was a crazy thing that happened. It was like a cult where a bunch of people died. He said some edgy stuff about that. No one cared. He talked about a lot of shit with a lot of like counter narratives, and nobody cared. There's only one topic that everyone freaked out about. I get it. And I knew he was going to get in trouble just listening to him, but I don't know. You know, that's his choice to document history and say certain things. But I'll end on this note, which might not be the best note to end on, but we'll do it. This is my personal opinion about everything, not just that. If you're not allowed to even like talk about it, but then you want everybody to trust it, it's just a crazy way to operate. It's like, you can't talk about it. You can't disagree with it. You can't even go near it to agree with it and disagree with one part of it that I don't want you to agree with. But you also have to believe that what I'm telling you is 100% true, and everything you learned was 100% true, but you're not allowed to question it, and you get thrown in prison in other countries for doing it. Do you like... And maybe it's a power thing where it's like, you know that you have leverage. So you're just like, you know, listen, serfs, shut the fuck up. These are the rules. Follow them. If that's the case, I could deal with a king or a queen. You understand? It's like, okay, the king says shut the fuck up. I'll shut the fuck up. I get it. I'm a serf. I'm a street clown. You know, honk honk honk. Ah, ha, ha. You know. But if you're out here telling people that they can't go near that topic at all, even to the point where you're mad at the Daryl guy, which that didn't even seem that crazy to me when I was listening to it. I was like, it's not like I believe everything he said, but I'm like, all right, it's interesting, whatever. Elon thought it was interesting. He deleted it. But in general, it's like, don't people understand? Like, even if this is the history that you don't want people to question, you don't want people to disagree with, you want them to believe and trust everything that you tell them to trust. Do you think not allowing anybody to go near it is a way to gain people's trust? Like, that's kind of crazy. That's nuts to me. Like, you know, and I guess there's a such thing as like a religion. People don't want you to question God. And there's topics that like you're not really supposed to question. But at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't garner a lot of trust for people when that's how it's being policed. So that makes me wonder, do they really want people to believe and trust everything they're saying? Or do they just want people to shut up and get in line? Because it's like, I would know, like, imagine if you were like, tell me why you believe that anomaly. And it's like, because you can't ever disagree, you know, and even trying to disagree means you get thrown in prison in places, and we're going to try to ruin your life in America for going near that topic. Wouldn't it make you be like, what, you know, like, wait, what, why, what that? And the reason, if you listen to people's reason, I mean, they could tell you for themselves, is because the narrative is, bad things happen, obviously, and we don't want them to happen again. So this is our way of stopping it from happening again, right? That's the narrative that they're going with, is like, not allowing people to go near this will prevent it from happening again. Is that the only way that you could stop a tragedy from happening again, is by basically not allowing anybody to have an opinion about it? And then anything that's ever said is now like a trigger to the point where you're like, oh, if they say that, then that. It's like, I don't know that that's the best way of policing it personally. And like, I will say this too, with even like racism, when you have lopsided laws for races, when you have DEI, which everybody hates, Black people this or Hispanics that, but white people can't do this, like the DI, little lopsided. It creates tension between the races. And then when tension arises, you're like, why is there tension? Well, you caused it with all this shit. Like, you're not giving people fair stuff. The same thing that Republicans believe about DEI and BLM and all these other Black organizations that push for special things for Black people, and they tell you it's only hurt race relations. The Zionists that tell you that and have made a whole career on it, how could you not see the blatant hypocrisy of them wanting to do the same thing for Jewish? And most of them are Jewish that want that. Some of them are Christian. Some of them aren't religious. And some of them are, Christian Catholic Zionists or whatever. So it's like, it's not like everybody's that, but it's like outside of who you are. And if you want it for your reason or somebody else, how do you not see the blatant hypocrisy of it? This is how I think about all this stuff. Like, for me, my whole life, and I'm sorry that I'm ranting, but this is good stuff. I'm glad I didn't stop when Dildo McFuckboy tried to ruin my stream. But anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm sure he's a nice guy. My experience with Jewish people growing up was fantastic. One of my best friends was Jewish. Used to go on vacation with him. His mom was incredibly nice. His dad was cool. He just kind of chilled. He didn't really talk to us that much, but they were awesome, trustworthy, nice, giving. And throughout my 20s and 30s, I'm not just saying this to pander. Some of my favorite people are Jewish. Some of the nicest people I met, some of the most trustworthy people I met, some of the most honest people I met. They're not the negative stereotype. And I know that. Some of my favorite people are Jewish and always have been. With that being said, moving forward, I never had a reason to dislike any of this stuff until I started getting attacked 10 million times for disagreeing with the speech law. So it's actually, in my life, in my experience, the speech rules and the same with the BLM stuff. It's the lopsided racial speech rules that you're trying to shove down our throats to tell us that this race you can't talk about this race. Okay. When it comes to that race, what's the crime rate like in certain communities? And we can get to why, but also can we not have that? Because no one wants to live around that, including the people there. So now it's racist to talk about it, or, if I don't want to hate myself, then I'm a race. These rules are just lopsided. I'm down to scrutinize my race too. And we can talk about everything I'm doing wrong and my race is doing wrong. I don't give a shit as long as it's honest and everyone does it. But if there's protected groups where it's we never did anything and it's all your fault, and it's all right, well, this is not fair, And then when it came to the Zionist speech laws, once I noticed that, Zionist people and Jewish people in media just started swarming at me and acting insane. I don't blame my friends for that because they've never done that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, some actually have, and then they're not really my friends, but it's I don't sit and blame everyone for that. But what I'm trying to say is, by having lopsided laws that you think that you're policing for your people, the way to get everybody to not hate us is just to go crazy at them if they talk about these 10 topics, it's only making more and more people not like and trust you as an organization and a group. Some people do it for terrible reasons, and they're terrible people, and they're liars, and they're horrible. But it's with other stuff, it's can we have a conversation about why? Or no, it's always just blaming the person who says something without even hearing why they said it. With me, that's my experience. My whole life, I never had a reason ever to question anything Jewish. I knew nothing about it. Anything Israel, only thought good things. Never thought into my late 20s, never thought anything bad about anything. Never. My only and first problem wasn't with Israel and Palestine. I knew nothing about that. It was the speech laws in America that are specifically for Israel and Jews. Special boy, special girl rules. I say, I don't agree with that from a First Amendment perspective. Everyone comes down at you. Stop doing that. They keep coming. Why are you doing this? Well, because we want to make sure that you like us, and we want to make sure everybody trusts us. Well, that's not a really trustworthy thing to do. Well, let's freak out at Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson has been a great friend of Israel and Jewish people for a long time. I mean, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but the guy hasn't even done anything. He's been very fair, Fair is an understatement. So he has one historian on and people are ready to swarm at him. Why are you swarming at him? We're swarming at him because everybody has to trust and believe this narrative or else we're going to ruin their lives. Do you actually think that's going to make people like what you're doing? You think that is a way to stay safe and loved by treating everyone like shit when they do shit like that? Like, it's a crazy perspective. Like, I don't simply understand it. And it's the same thing. I'm just going to be real. It's the same thing with certain, certain groups in their neighborhoods. It's like at the end of the day, yeah, there's systemic reasons and financial reasons, and that can hurt a community. No doubt. I'm willing to talk about them all and point the blame at the government and whoever. But at the end of the day, your actions also can build a community or your actions can destroy it. Your actions can make businesses want to come in. Your actions can make people run away. And in a lot of these really bad neighborhoods, nobody wants to work there because it's like insane. People freaking threaten you every day. It's like a hellhole. You know what I'm saying? And the people that live there are not necessarily safe. And it's like, there's some really bad neighborhoods in America. While you can point all the blame to everybody else, you also have to self-reflect and be like, hey guys, we got to do better. And if we don't do better, this is never going to change. And if you can at least do that, people like LeBron James, talk about whoever you want, right? He talked about white people being slave owners as CEOs. I don't give a shit. Call them slave owners. People do get mad, but I don't care. But then he said, he did a lyric where he said, I'm getting money like I'm Jewish. Everything's kosher. It's like a rap lyric. And he apologized to the Jewish community for rapping a song. So he feels comfortable bashing white people as owners. Who cares? But then he has to apologize for saying he's getting money like a certain ethnicity. It's basically a compliment and a rap lyric. And he has to apologize to that community, but he could talk about that other community. And then when it comes to his own community, he moves to a different demographic neighborhood because he wants to live in a nice, rich, safe area. But then he acts like he doesn't see the problems in Akron. Go to the worst areas of Cleveland with $100,000 worth of jewelry on and walk 50 blocks. Unless you got street connections, it's shit's not going to be easy. Like, he knows that. He can wear that to the club, but he can't wear that there. I'm not saying he has to hate his own people, but are you not willing to talk about that and come full circle and be honest about all the ethnic groups and be like, it's just like, screw those people. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. And my people never did anything wrong. Okay. And then he tweets something. He's like, yo, we got to stop killing each other. And then he deletes it or whatever. Like, he tweeted that one time. He's like, yo, we got to stop killing each other. Yeah, obviously, but then it's like, that makes you a sellout. So I don't want to say that. Okay. It's the same thing like everyone. If there's people doing stuff in certain communities, I'm not saying you're doing it, but if you start doing it, then you are doing it. Like, if you're piling on with the people from an organization doing something, and then I'm like, yo, they're doing this. And they're like, who's doing it? Who's doing it? You. Everyone knows it. You. Not everybody, but you're in that group now because you're piling on. Well, you can't say that because I have special rules. People don't like that. You know what I'm saying? They want to be able to openly talk about stuff. And if you could talk about other groups in certain ways, but you can't say that, it's going to make everybody suspicious. And then once people get suspicious, you get more mad. Like, there's never a moment of self-accountability and self-awareness. And simply even saying that everybody as an ethnic group, even though people have been this and that, every ethnic group should have self-awareness and self-accountability. Imagine saying that to certain groups. They would freak out. How dare you say that? How dare you not say that we are the perpetual victim of all time, now, then, every time, everywhere? Screw you. Okay? If that's how you think, then that's how you think. But I just don't think it's a good way to think. Like, that's just my belief with myself and everyone else. Like, it's not like I only think that I think that for everybody, but it's like, I'm only allowed to think that for myself. It's like the narrative that's acceptable in America is like, if you're this ethnicity, not only do you need self-awareness and self-accountability, you actually have to take blame for everything. Like, let me just give you another example. That's probably going to get me in trouble, but I don't really give a shit at this point. Did white people do messed up stuff in history? Obviously, you know what I'm saying? There's blood on the hands of Caucasians. Can you say that the slave ships were owned by Jewish people? No, that's a hate speech offense that'll get you destroyed. How come I could say white people were slave owners and everybody claps, and then if you say Jewish people own slaves or whatever, own slave ships, then you can't say that? Like, why am I allowed to be self-reflective of my group, but I can't talk about anyone else, or I can't talk about the Native Americans killing each other? Like, it was just perfect, and then white people got here, and then everything's bad. Like, that's not real history, but that's the history we're taught, but it's not real. And I don't even know it's real because I didn't exist at that time. But in general, it's like, basically, this is the acceptable narrative in the left wing. Is like, it's all your fault. No one else did anything, and the world would be better if you just basically die out. And we're trying to flip the demographics and say that we're not flipping the demographics. Okay, so Europe is not going to be Europe. America's not going to be America, but Japan, China, Africa, and pretty much Israel, everywhere else gets to, like, maintain their country, but not us. We're going to be a different country. Okay, that seems a little off, but whatever. And it's the same thing with this topic. It's the same exact thing. It's like, I have accountability, but it's like, if I could be hateful towards you, what's the word for you being hateful towards me? So many times Christians are like, we got to do this, we got to do that. What's the word if they do that to you? And this is what I've said before, and it's 100% true. It's quite profound. If you're accused, not if you are, if you're accused of being hateful towards anything Jewish, a group, an individual, anything, it's called anti-Semitism. It doesn't mean you're really being hateful. You might not. But even if you're accused, that's anti-Semitism. So what's it called when those people or that group or that individual does something hateful towards you? It's also called anti-Semitism. Elon Musk noticed that there were certain groups pushing anti-white hatred in that department. What was it called? Is there a word for that group being hateful towards this group? It's called anti-Semitism either way, because noticing is hateful. Noticing that it's not fair is hateful. Noticing that the rules are lopsided is hateful. There is no word the other way around, because it's your fault for even questioning it. Like, if I go and say, white groups should be nice to black groups groups should be nice to white groups, Jewish groups should be nice to white groups, Jewish groups should be nice to black groups, white groups should be nice to Jewish. Like, you could say all that. But then if I said, white groups are hating black groups, they'll be like, yeah, white groups are hating Jewish groups. Yeah, they're hateful. They're supremacists, whatever. Okay. Black groups are hating white groups. Oh, you're just being racist. Jewish groups are hating white groups. Oh, that's so anti-Semitic that you need to, like, literally go on an apology toward Ben Shapiro. Holy shit. Like, that shit gets crazy. Like, it's even, it's like, that's okay. My bad. Never mind. I'm so sorry. It only goes one direction, and you're more important, and everything you say is more special than what I say, and I have no rights at all. Like, is that what you want? That's what they want. I'm not saying everybody wants it, but the people that freak out all the time, whether it's left wing, right wing, whatever, you understand? It's just like, it's just crazy. So let me know what you think. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I'm just going to be clear. Not that I have to be, but I want to be. And I always say this, but I mean it, because it's like, for context. I'm an American citizen. I was born here. I was raised here. I have no other country that I want to go. Like, I'm American. I have no hate for any other race. I have no hate for any other country, any other religion. None at all. People can't they try to drag you into it and be like, see, no, I'm not hating. I'm just speaking facts. Okay. With that being said, it's nothing to do with hate. It has to do with the truth. And I'm going to drop another truth before I leave. Sorry about that. But say these communities in America that are quote unquote minority, right? That are not good to live in. They're not safe. They're not nice. People are doing really messed up stuff there. You could dump $1 trillion in there and you're still not going to fix it. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is going to age right, because I'm not lying. So it's like, yes, does money help? Absolutely. But it's also mindset. It's also culture. It's also leadership and self-awareness on top of all those things. If you don't have leadership, if you don't have self-awareness and self-accountability, there's no amount of money that's going to fix it. There's no amount of speech policing. Like, they've done all this psychotic speech policing, and then every year they're like, it's rising, the hate's rising, the hate's rising. Well, maybe you suck at stopping it, or maybe you're purposely rising it in order to capitalize off of it and profit off of it, or you're not doing that and you just suck at doing it. But either way, you're not effective at stopping it, because you're doing the dumbest things. Like, by calling everyone a racist that notices stuff all the time, I know for a fact, just seeing how things went, In the 90s and 2000s, most white people, they didn't give a shit about race. I mean, maybe in certain parts of the country, but for the most part, like 95% of white people are like, we don't care about race. We're just kicking it. Everybody could be friends. If they're going to say, oh, it's rising or whatever, it's like, it's a backlash from crime rates getting so high, you trying to bring other communities everywhere and like plant people everywhere. It's like at a certain point, if people want to move somewhere, they can move. But if you're going to be like, we got to put this housing here and you here, and like they're bringing 20,000 Haitians, and like apparently this is a story I haven't looked into that much, but they're bringing 20,000 Haitians to some place in Ohio, and people are talking about they're like decapitating ducks and stuff, and it's like, it's not everybody doing that, but if you do things that don't make logical sense and like you just start doing them, and then like shit starts getting weird, like, are people racist who notice who's doing that in their community? It's not racism. It's just like basic common sense, and it's not blaming everyone. It's just like, what the fuck is going on here? And like that's what America's doing. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Excuse my language, but I had a girl in my comment sections the other day who was talking about DACA, and she wants her citizenship. And I understand that there's a lot of great people who want the DACA citizenship. What I was trying to explain to her, 10 years ago, you're the belle of the ball. Now there's so many legal and illegal immigrants. Like, America's so overwhelmed that the sympathy for you is running low because people are like, their neighborhoods are just getting fucked and fucked and fucked and fucked and fucked and fucked, and the prices are going up. So when you live in a society that is like crushing, you can help everybody else. When your society is falling apart and you're afraid to send your kid to school because they're going to chop his dick off, or it's not safe. Now you stop caring about everybody else, and you're like, let's focus on us. So it's like all the shit that they're doing everywhere else is only hurting racial tension. It's only hurting immigration. It's like all these things that they said they were fighting, nobody's really fighting them. They're increasing all these things because they don't let people have an honest conversation. You should be allowed to say the basic truth about what's going on, but you can't do that. So I'm just being clear. My goal is to lower the hate and lower the anger. You can't do that with special rules, special privileges, special groups, constant accusations, and constant like going nuts at anybody who even gets close to the thing that you don't want them to say because you feel like your group has special rules. Like, it doesn't work. Not in that community, not in that community, and not in America. And the truth is, when it's all said and done, it's like the same thing with printing too much money. I hope we haven't done it, but it's like when you get to that point, like you don't know until it's so far gone and you're like, okay, it's not working. Like, that's what's going on with race relations and stuff here, because the tactics have been so crazy. So you can claim that you're a righteous man and you're trying to stop hatred and racism and anti-Semitism, and you could spend 40 years doing it. And when you look at your career in 40 years, you could say, I just made all of those things worse because I have no self-awareness, no self-accountability, and I was trying to bully and speech police everybody with unfair, back and forth. Like, I want to have special rules so I could dish it out, but I can't get it back. That's the whole gist of it. If Seth Dillon was mad at Tucker Carlson, I don't give a shit. He's a man. He's a man. Let him do it. But Seth Dillon knows, if it is his ethnic group, I'm not sure, he has special rules for his narrative, at least in his agenda. So it's like he's getting into this debate going bop, 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 bop. And then Tucker goes bop, bop, and he goes, whoa. And the whole premise of the debate is Tucker had a conversation that he said, no, you're not allowed to have that debate. You're not allowed to have that discussion. You're not allowed to talk about that. Why? Oh, because this group is special. Okay, can I talk about it? Well, you better talk about it on a fine line because I got special rules. So it's not a fair debate that's being on, and Seth is being totally disingenuous. If you want me to respect what you're saying and you want me to not think you're sneaky, then make sure that it's not a prison sentence in 19 countries. And I know he doesn't have the power to do that. I'm just saying in general, it's like you at least admit that you have that power behind you, of 30 states policing this, of YouTube deleting and censoring speech on this topic. Because it's like, if I was calling you a homophobe, but I couldn't debate you and you're getting your stuff deleted because you're criticizing transgenders, like, I'm in on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not a fair discussion when one group can literally ruin your life and get you kicked off for saying something. But so it's like, it's dishing it out. But then you have this massive organization of speech laws throughout the world, and thousands of organizations that are going to smear people with you behind you in the conversation. Just admit that you have that, and then we could talk about it. Or, if you really don't want the special rules and laws, say that, be like, listen, like people like Dave Smith, he's just like, yeah, I don't think it's fair. I don't use them. They get used against me because I'm just honest. Like if you can't say that and you're going with the laws and the rules, then I'm just going to assume that you are cool with that. Like you want the leverage, you want the special boy privileges, you want the, you can't touch this history, but I could touch your history or whatever. And then you want to dish it out and be like, be careful when you dish it back to me because I have this whole organization of rules and laws and speech and thought policing behind me that you don't have. I have. Okay, sure. But if you're not going to admit that, it's hard to take it on an even playing field. And it's the same thing with like Candace Owens talked about black organizations and look how mad people got because she was trying to be real with it. She was like, listen, this is what I think about all this stuff, the infrastructure. It's not working. It's not helping us. It's not fair. It's making people hate us. And then people were like, holy shit, I like Candace Owens. Like, this makes me like people more because she's being honest. And then they try to drag her down. They do that in every community. Any community that has special rules and laws and privileges that are actually hurting the community and the country, when someone comes out of that ilk and says it, they get dragged down as well, And this is really my last thing because I know it's a hard thing to wrap up. It's getting to the point in this country where some things are cool, some things are not, but like with all the shit they've been doing, and by they, I mean like the government and the Democrats in a lot of way, because like all this immigration shit they've been doing is so unprecedented. It's hard to even like explain what's going to happen because most people will like think it's crazy. They'll be like, no. Like, and it's like, dude, you could say that and, legal or illegal, like the type of shifts that they're doing, like you're going to see it in 5 or 10 years. And this country is going to be an entirely different country. And they want to tell you it's going to be a better country. Yeah, it's going to be totally different, but it's going to be better. Maybe, but maybe it won't be better. Maybe it'll be a lot worse for everybody. And like only time will tell. But I do think that with this, especially with free speech, especially with the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment as well. These are so important. Like you have this multicultural society, right? That's unprecedented, unlike anything else in the world. You can't give certain people things that they can't say and start policing and censoring and trying to throw people in jail for it. It's only going to destroy America. Like it's over at that point. Like we suck now. And America already kind of sucks in some ways, but in some ways it doesn't. The First Amendment is so important. Like you can't just do this and you can't police and thought crimes like that in America because then the country is going to get shitty. And it's not going to work for anybody. It doesn't work for the people that they claim it's helping. It's not helping Jewish Americans. It's not helping Black Americans. It's not helping white Americans. It's helping nobody, and I'm not blaming because there's a lot of conservative and liberal amongst Jewish communities. There is debates about how to police a city. But if you talk about like super Jewish areas of like, Los Angeles, like Beverly Hills, right? It was always nice because on average, Jewish people are not out shooting each other. And I maybe you're not supposed to say that, but like, I like Beverly Hills. Jewish people, take care of their stuff for the most part. I mean, there's different parts of the country with different people, but like Beverly Hills is nice. Like I have no problem with it, whatever. And I'm not saying everybody, because there's a lot of conservative Jewish people there as well, but a lot of the liberal people, they'll be like, oh, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. And it's like, now you're getting robbed every time you go out wearing a Rolex because like it's not safe anymore. And it's like, how does that help you? Like Jewish people are nervous now in Beverly Hills because it's not what it used to be, And it's like, why is it not what it used to be? Well, the Democrats have a shitty DA that lets everybody out of prison and like people are just running rampant throughout the city. Like, how does that help your community? A huge portion of your people live there and it's noticeably shittier and less safe than it was 10 years ago. It doesn't help you. It's not helping the inner city. Like it doesn't work, like, and same with like New York City. People are like, I'm experiencing so much hate here. Why? Like, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm just like, why? Like, can we get to why? Because sometimes it's like a liberal, it's like a liberal girl who's like, oh, I just got jumped. It's like, I'm not saying it's right because it's wrong, but like, do you even think about why crime is so high in your area? Why it's not going down? You're helping it stay there. And then it's hurting you, your gender, your community. And then it's like, I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm trying to help. Like, I want Beverly Hills to be what it was 7 years ago. I want New York is okay, but it's like, it was better 7-8 years ago, in my opinion. Like, why is it so bad? Policy, politics, and stuff like this, where like all the stuff they say that you shouldn't say is literally what's happening. So it's like, you can police this and that and whatever. And then in 15 years, no one's going to like America that much. It doesn't matter what race you are. You're going to be like, yeah, this fucking sucks. And then, and then what? Like, I'm not doing this for nefarious or bad reasons. Like, I see what's going on in the country, and it's like, it objectively hurts every ethnic group when you make certain moves like this, and certain cool and nice things that certain ethnic groups have, you're not going to have anymore. You understand? Like, even black people are starting to become more pro-Trump. I bet he's going to get a bigger portion of the black vote than he did before. Not 50%, but probably like 20 to 30, maybe, maybe 35. I don't know about that. But the reason is because black people, not all, I'm not trying to stereotype, but like a lot of black voters, they want to be the belle of the ball. They want certain things. Understandable. And then when you get all these illegals coming in and taking their shit, they're like, I thought it was about us. Who the fuck are these people? You know what I'm saying? Because in liberal world, blacks and Mexicans are the same. But in reality, it's like, yo, that dude is taking the money, and now we're in debt, and now the state's not giving me shit. And now, how is this helping my community? And legal Mexicans are like, what the fuck does this guy have to do with me? He's not even from Mexico. He's from Honduras. We don't, like, there's gangs robbing my house. Like, none of this helps. But in general, it's like, the black community is starting to figure this out, because it's like, we're losing all these privileges we added to the government, because now, they're being essentially replaced by like Hispanic illegals and shit, and then white people, it's the same dynamic. And then even like Jewish people in America, like, it's like, you benefit from having a nice, safe America. Once you start using these ideologies that don't work, your neighborhood starts sucking more. Like, everyone's neighborhood starts sucking more. It doesn't help black people to bring in millions of illegals. It hurts black people. It doesn't help Jewish people to do that. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't even help Hispanics. It's like, now there's DACA people yelling at me that are fans of mine that are like, why don't you care about this or that? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, I get that you want a citizenship, but 5 years ago, I could care about it more. Now, when you got 10, 20 million people, it's like, sorry, you're now in the back of the line because they just made 15 more problems and everybody's confused. I know you're a good person, but at the same time, we're dealing with way more now. You understand? Like, that's just the truth of everything. So like this whole thing, I know there's this and that, but policing speech does not help anybody. Policing speech does not make people like you. Policing speech does not make it safer. And stopping people from talking about basic pattern recognition in any race, it only makes people more like annoyed. And also the truth is the truth. So it's like, whatever I say, or whatever you say, or whatever you say I can't say, or whatever you take down my YouTube channel, what I said was true, it's still going to happen because it's real. Like, everything I said about the pharmaceutical industry, and I'm not one to say everything I've ever said, but like, go look at every video I ever made during 2020. I'm not trying to brag, but I am trying to brag, so I should just stop pretending like I'm not trying to. I think I was a top 5 best journalist in that time period, and I think I deserve a Pulitzer. But Pulitzers are for liars in New York Times, so I don't get one. But anyway, go watch any of those videos. Compare what I did in my discography to any Republican or liberal journalist, and they're not going to be able to compete with the sheer content, quality, and amount that I did. With that being said, why does it age well? It ages well because I didn't lie. I didn't make shit up. I didn't pretend I knew things I didn't know. Some truthers did that. I told you what I knew. I told you what was fact. And then with the other stuff, I was just like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but I don't want to get it. I didn't just make shit up. And you could try to shut it up in 2020. You could take hundreds of thousands of dollars from me. You could do this. You could lie about me in the press. You could do all that shit. It's not going to change the fact that what I said was true. So if what I said was true, and you got 3 vaccines, and you got fat, and you wore a pharmaceutical mask for 2 years, and you think I was being hateful and racist or whatever, it's like, that all still happened to you. I didn't do it. I'm not trying to fucking hurt you. You're hurting yourself. It's the same thing with this topic. That's why I'm so passionate about it. I don't want to hurt anyone. I want to help everyone in this country. And you can't do the opposite of reality, try to police everybody from talking about anything, and then act like, oh my gosh, I'm helping so much. It's like, what I'm saying now is true. You can get mad. You can take my money. You can take my account down. You can censor it. You can steal whatever. It's not going to change. And in 5 years, 10 years, more and more people will figure it out. And they'll be like, holy shit, he was right. Doesn't everybody want to live in America? Whether you're Jewish or Haitian or white or black, doesn't everybody want to be here? everyone's not going to want to be here forever if we fuck up the country. People only want to come here because it's cool. Once it stops being cool anymore, if you're white or you're Jewish or you're black or you're Asian or whoever you are, you shouldn't have to like worry about getting robbed everywhere you go all the time. That's not a good society to live in. That's like a third world country. That's what America is right now. You can't navigate the nice parts of Los Angeles the way you used to. And to be quite frank, everybody talks about Orange County. It is nice, absolutely, but shit's happening in Orange County too. People are getting robbed all the time because they're looking for people that are wearing expensive shit. The mayor won't tell you. The fucking governor won't tell you. Nobody will tell you. So I'll fucking tell you because I'm your friend and I'm not a fucking liar. Okay? If you're out anywhere in Southern California and you have expensive shit, I don't have expensive shit, so it doesn't apply to me that much as ever. If you're wearing a Rolex, your chances of getting stalked and run up on by 3 guys with masks just increased by 100 times. Like, they won't tell you that this is happening, but it's absolutely happening. All the targets in Orange County recently have been people with expensive shit on. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to wear expensive shit, but like, that's what's going on in Beverly Hills. That's what's going on. Yeah, other shit happens too. Someone got killed in downtown Los Angeles just because they were trying to steal his catalytic converter and they're just savages and they just killed him. But in general, it's like you don't have these people telling you this stuff because they don't want you to be scared. But the truth is, like, I even think this about like apartment complexes. Like 10 years ago, you're good. Now, first ground apartment complexes, it's easier to break in than it is something multiple stories up. So it's like, the amount of break-ins that are happening on first level floors are astronomical because you got people coming from Amazon and delivery. And now what used to be your neighborhood, thousands of people are in and out, in and out, in and out. There's a neighborhood that I heard of in the suburbs of a different state where people were so rich and so unaware and so blissful of Leave It to Beaverland that they're just leaving their fobs in their car. To me, I'm paranoid with that type of stuff. I would never I would never leave my fob in my car. I don't care if I lived in the safest place in the world. I'm taking that shit with me. But like, people are like, well, no one would steal it. Well, now they are because you're being watched. And I'm not trying to scare people, but like, if you look at, I've studied a lot of the crimes that have been happening in SoCal. These are not all random. Some are, but it's targeted. They're stalking you. You have $100,000 watch on, or you got an expensive jewelry on. They're watching your every move. They're waiting for you to leave. They're following you home. People don't want to hear this shit, but this is America now. It doesn't matter. And the truth is, they're like, oh, crimes have gone up against Asian people. It's not because you're Asian. Crimes have gone up against Jewish people. It's not because you're Jewish. Crimes have gone up against white people. It's not because you're white. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessary. Some might be because of your ethnicity, but for the stop Asian hate, bro, stop crime in San Francisco. It's the fucking crime. It's not, oh, I hate Asian elders. It's Asian elders live in the hood and people don't give a fuck anymore. It's not like, that's what it is. So it's like, that's the country we live in now. Beverly Hills, it's not safe anymore. Nowhere safe. Like, you can't hide from this shit because everybody has smartphones. Everybody has Uber and Amazon, and most Amazon drivers are awesome and great and heroes. I fucking love people that have jobs who just crush and do things for communities. Like, I love 99% of people are incredible. But when you got thousands of people coming in and out of your neighborhood, people are watching, people are stalking. If you have nice shit, they want it. Not everyone, but it's happening all the time. And nobody's talking about it. It is the country we live in. And it's even like, people in nice parts, they want to act like it's not happening. Like, my friends moved from LA to like Dallas and Fort Worth, and they're like, yeah, it's Republican. Both of them had their catalytic converters stolen from them. It happens there too. You know what I'm saying? Dallas is not that safe, but in general, it's like, it's happening everywhere. And if it's not happening in your community, they know that your community is safe and rich and nice, and they want to steal your shit because you're not paying attention. You don't have bars on the window. You're not ready for it. So they're ready for you. I'm just being honest. That's how I view the country now. I'm not scared, but I'm aware because it's really happening, like, more and more and more and more, and nobody's talking about it. And the reason that I say this is because I just want to really end on this note. I know I could talk forever, but it's just like, no matter what your ethnicity is, you deserve to live somewhere nice. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if you're Jewish in America, whether you're in New York or, Los Angeles or whatever, don't you want to live in a nice neighborhood? And I'm not trying to stereotype or be a dick, or I don't even know if you're allowed to do this, but I'm just going to be honest. Like, when it comes to like if Jewish people congregate in an area, there's not very high violent crime rates. Jewish people are not committing massive violent crimes. Like usually a Jewish area is nice and safe. Is it anti-Semitic to compliment Jewish people? You go to like the most Jewish areas of like Florida. Do you think it's bad? No, it's probably awesome. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. That's why I have no problem with people. But in general, it's like there's other things going on. Like everybody does something. But I'm just saying in general, it's like if you don't realize this about what's going on and you're just like calling everyone racist and anti-Semitic all the time, now you live in an area that's not safe, and it has nothing to do with racists or anti-Semites. It has to do with people that want your fucking watch. You know what I'm saying? Like people want what you have, and they want to break in, and there's certain places you go. Like when I used to live in LA, I used to tell people, because you could tell, there's a few ways you could tell how nice a neighborhood is if you've never been to it. One pattern that I noticed, if you're in a bad neighborhood, there's like cash checks place everywhere. They're always trying to like cash a check. But also, that's just like a funny thing that's everybody knows is true. But another thing is the bars on the windows. When you live in a civilized area, in a place where people do not go nuts, you don't need bars on your windows. Go to a suburb. Why do they not have bars on the windows? Because fucking people don't break in houses. Go to the hood. Why do they all have bars on their windows in a lot of neighborhoods? Because they need them. You think you want bars on the window? No, a window is to look out of and get fresh air. The bars are on the windows because people will break into anything without bars, so you got to protect yourself. That's the truth. And everybody in the country now, they love having no bars on their windows. At this point, everybody should have bars on their windows. I'm not saying you literally need to have it, but it's like, do you want to live in a neighborhood with a window? Then pay attention to what the fuck's going on. Because I don't like, even at this point, like I don't want to own a house. Obviously, I'd want a wife and a kids, but if I own a house, you best believe I'm going to get the fuck away from all this stuff as far as I possibly can, because I'm not just going to like post up, oh, look at my house and my nice stuff in this neighborhood that's not what it used to be. Okay. You know, like people are watching. They know whose fob's in the car. They know who's got the expensive jewelry, and they know who's not paying attention. It's not everybody. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but it's like that world that you used to grow up in, it doesn't exist anymore. You know, where neighbors trusted each other. Yeah, those days are gone. In the nice neighborhoods, they're less nice. In the middle-class neighborhoods, they're getting worse. In the bad areas, they're still bad. I'm not saying it's the end of the world or anything, but it's like, you know, when are we going to have a president or a leader that talks about this shit? And it's like, yeah, this, because they don't, you know, Trump doesn't care. He's a billionaire. He'll be safe. You know, he's got his shit. I mean, it's crazy life he's living, but nobody's going to like explain this to people because everyone's just like, la-di-da, what's going on? It's like the country's going to shit. They're bringing tens of millions of people from all over the place, and they're planting people in neighborhoods by being like, oh, you need this, you need that. They need to go here. You need to go here. You need to go here so we can win elections and do this. And then it's like, oh my gosh, it's not safe anymore. Oh my gosh, what happened? Oh my gosh, all the racism. It's like, it's not racism. It's just fucking what's going on, you know? The Stop Asian Hate was like the stupidest thing to me. Like liberals are so dumb. They're like, stop Asian. No shit, dude. Asians are awesome, you know, especially Asian elders. Like, what a sick soul you have to be to go after an elderly person. You're a psychopath if you go after anybody, but like elderly people, like what are you, a fucking demon? You know, you're gonna rob someone's grandfather. You're a psycho. Anyway, it's like, oh, dude, what's going on with them? Look at the crime rates. Like they're not being targeted because they're Asian. They're being targeted because they're an easy target because they're old and people are evil. You know what I'm saying? There's some people that don't care. Like, how do you not see that? Like, what's all the hate going on? It's not targeted. It's people, they don't give a fuck. Look at some of these neighborhoods. They don't even care about their neighbors. You think they care about you? They don't even care about themselves. You know, it has nothing to do with what you look like. It's a cover for the real problem, which is like just really messed up stuff going on that they're trying to justify and normalize and blame on someone else. Like JK said, just a daily driver, a Toyota truck. I have a 2014 Shelby that I could now drive during the day. I live in a beach town known for surfing and skateboarding. I've had a few sketchy night drives, not safe. Thanks, bro. Dude, I've noticed a lot of weird shit recently, to be honest, and like not just in the news, but shit's getting weird. Like even like certain airports and shit. Like I can't put a finger on it, but like the Democrats especially, it's not like all the Republicans, but the Democrats, like they're doing shit that's hard to reverse. This is what they do. They push stuff through. They do weird shit that like they make it hard for you to counter. And then like once it happens, they yell at you if you try to like fix it. So it's like the amount of people that they planted in America over the last couple of years, and the amount of people that they just planted in different neighborhoods that weren't going to go there, but basically were like, we'll give you stuff. If you go there, we'll give you free stuff to win elections or fucking fuck shit up. You know, like all this stuff that they're doing that they're saying is so great. The scale that the Democrats are doing this on is like hard for me to even fathom, because I just want to ignore it, because I don't even want to think about it, because it's not fun to think about. And I want to have a fun life. You know, I'm not a doomer and a gloomer. I don't watch the news every day and like stress out. So it's like, I don't want to think about it, but it's like, I do. This is, you know, what I think. Everyone's going to realize this shit in like 10 years, because it's just going to be so obvious that it's going to be impossible to ignore. Right now, you can like kind of do it. And then, you know, people are going to want different leaders, and then the press is going to go crazy on you. And then they're going to try to frame it as some racial issue or some, you know, you're being hateful. And like, they got all these words mean nothing. You know, they're just like, why are you not hateful? Who gets to determine who's hate? What if you're being hateful to me and you think I'm being hateful to you? Like, why is your version? Like, these are the games that are going to be played. But, you know, I have good intentions, and I know that all the games being played with accusations of racism and anti-Semitism and nationalism and homophobia and xenophobia, like all this is that's all going to age poorly. And the stuff I'm saying and other people are saying is going to age well. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it for, you know, the future and the history books. And I just want to say, without pandering, I have good intentions, and you know, I don't think what everyone thinks is going to work is going to work. Someone said you've been cursing too much recently. I don't disagree. I definitely have. I'll say this too. I kind of burned myself out just doing too many interviews and stuff. So think of this. Sometimes I'll do like a real episode. Tomorrow I'm going to do a reaction to the debate. But like, it's been tough for me to even get videos out, just from getting so burnt out and really like just doing too many videos too long by myself with no editors and everything. Like the amount of content I pushed out by myself is crazy. You know, sometimes I curse, but it's like, if my options, I know I could probably just not curse, but it's just like a stream of consciousness. And I know cursing is not good, but the thing is, like with certain jokes, if I try to censor myself, which I've done so many times, then it just becomes not funny. And I know I don't have to curse to be funny, but like sometimes that's just how it comes out, and I'll think about it. But it's like, you know, the passion is real sometimes when you curse. And I like to be the guy that doesn't do it. Trust me. But if it's like my options are to do this or to not do it, I'm going to do it. And sometimes it really just like it flows. Like, for example, I'm going to curse since I already did. Like the energy of somebody trying to tell you not to say something about their group. Like, this is what I think. Like, I can't think of a more effective way to say it, and it would take more time. But like, they're like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I could say something else, but like, how dare you? What the, like, but like, it hits harder when you're like, that's what they're thinking, in the sense of like, how dare you go there when you're not supposed to go there for their group? Like, that's what they're thinking of you, you know. But like, you could feel it when it comes out like that, where it's like, whoa. But then if I like tried to water it down and censor it, then I feel like it wouldn't be like as effective. But you know, it's somewhat of an excuse too, because there's always a way to display your message without cursing. Sometimes when I rap too, like I've made non-cursing rap songs, but sometimes when I curse during my rap song, it really just like, it just goes so hard, you know, where I'm like, it just gets my emotion and energy and passion in the sentence. But I hear you. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Please, especially Republicans who hear this stuff, I don't care what countries you like or what you think about this or that. Support the countries you like, love people, you know, do all that stuff. Me personally, I'm not concerned with any of that. It's the speech laws. It's the speech policing. It's the thought crimes. And it's the people in Republican media that are trying to do what the left does to you with this topic. It's not going to work. It's not working now. It's disingenuous. It's been 6 years, probably decades of them doing this. Like, just stop doing it, you know? Have discussions, have conversations, disagree with Tucker, but don't suggest that he's platforming a denier, because you know that you have special rules and laws with those words. You know that. So you can't say you're against censorship if you're not actively talking about those rules that you have backing your side of the argument and your accusations. You got to be honest about this stuff. Everybody's seeing through it. And to be quite frank, it's the most interesting issue to me, because like just getting outraged with all these people every week, like look what the left does. Yeah, look what they did. I'm going to watch the Kamala interview tomorrow. I'm going to react to it. I'm voting for Trump. I like Trump better. I agree with you on all that. I'm bored of that though. I get it. You're going to be outraged and this is going to happen. What about what I just said? When are we going to discuss that? Who wants to debate it and have a conversation about it? Nobody? Whatever. Appreciate you guys. God bless. Have a beautiful day. Because I'll say this too. I had a debate with conservative mama about it. And that's when you get to see, I don't necessarily just want to talk to myself. Like if someone disagrees with me in Republican media and somebody that, you know, is good faith, or at least is not going to act like psychotic, it's like, okay, let's bring them on. I was super chill. She was chill for the most part. You know what I'm saying? It got a little whatever at times, but it was fine. Like I want to be challenged. I'm not just trying to convince people by talking to myself, whatever. Like if you're saying, oh, Anomaly's being so hateful or whatever, let's have a conversation about it. You know what I'm saying? I'll bring someone on my show as long as they're not going to act too weird. And like, you know, I'm not going to censor somebody, but it's like when people come at it weird, it's whatever. But it's like, I'm ready to challenge everything I said today. I'm ready to challenge it all against somebody that thinks it's hateful, because it's not. So appreciate you. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. Check out dreamrare.com or dreamrarelinks.com for all my stuff.
Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk. For $5 a month, you can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all.